Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Water Cooler Chat, where we talk about all things Livepeer, whether it's delegating, orchestrating, broadcasting, transcoding, or anything to do with Livepeer. We can ask questions and get answers. And we started off this conversation with a little bit about the contagion in the market, and we can definitely jump into that a bit later. But we'll start with introductions, and today will just be a regular Water Cooler Chat. So I'll start with myself. I'm Titan, been running the Titan Node Orchestrator since April 2022. And I have two topics today. One topic is around adding disk space to Ubuntu. Just looking for some advice if anyone has configurations on how to do that or how to go about that. And the other is the Broadcastr live stream on Thursday I'm planning to do. I'd like to talk about that a little bit as well. And also an update from the router, the Livepeer Router. We spent a lot of time on that last week, so today we'll just give more of an update and go from there. Okay, let's keep going on. G2, would you like to introduce yourself on a topic?
Hey guys, what's going on? So I've been building on top of Livepeer Studio, and kind of just checking in with the community to see if there's any updates right now. I don't particularly have any questions, I guess. I'm just listening to the community for feedback and ideas and things that's interesting as I'm building in this space, really. So
very cool. Do you want to share what you're building?
Yeah, it's a well, right now everything is kind of token gated. I mean, I can drop a link, but you won't be able to access much. But it's basically a DAO governed live streaming platform. We're tied in with like Lens and like Raw Social, and like you can mint NFTs that contain other ERC20s and 721s within it. I don't know, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, it's kind of hard to go through all the things. But I'll send more info once we start releasing.
Sure, yeah. And as you come back in the future, make sure you drop names and let us try it out. We'd be happy to beta test and try break things. So either way, thank you for joining us, G2, and great to see you again, as always. Authority Null, would you like to introduce yourself on a topic?
Sure. Hey, everyone. Ben with Authority Null. Been running my node, orchestrator node, for over a year. And topic for today, I posted a little bounty for a sort of tax JavaScript thing that I was hoping someone would pick up to help us figure out our taxes in the US, at least, for all of our reward calls and transactions in ETH. And I'm actually trying to take a stab at it myself, so I have a question about querying the graph that we can get into at some point.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, I've done some... I have a script that queries the graph. I've been working on that a little bit lately, so I'm sure we can get you working on that. So great, as always, and thank you for joining us, Authority. BemaNode, would you like to introduce yourself on a topic?
Hi, everybody. My name is Bora. I am from Istanbul. I was not attending this water cooler chat for nearly 1 month. Things were not well in here. So basically, we are trying to get, let's say, mentally perfect right now. I hope everything will be good. So I'm a listener today. I have no thing to ask or add. Sorry for that one.
Very good. Thank you again for joining us, BemaNode. Transmental, would you like to introduce yourself on a topic?
Hey, my name's Zach. Building Xenon, a Web3 live streaming application built on top of none other than Livepeer and Arbitrum. And I'm just here to hang out, make conversation, and try to provide value where I can. But no real topics. I do have one thing to maybe ask you guys about transcoding, specifically vertical orientation, or videos in vertical orientation. But we can get into that whenever there's some time.
Vertical oriented. When you say vertical, you mean like a phone?
Yeah, well, so we have a mobile app, a mobile broadcasting app with Xenon, and I was just playing around this morning and I noticed that actually, so if I start a horizontal stream, then it actually it is very consistent on getting a transcoder to pick up the work and do transcoding. But if I start a vertical stream, it's a lot more inconsistent as to if I am getting transcoded segments or just source segments back.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like, if there is a bug there, then it would be very much worth Livepeer's time to fix that, because that's a huge market share that you'd be missing out on as the orchestrators and the transcoders of the network.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Lens Tube and Lens Protocol, they use like Orb, they use Livepeer, and almost all their stuff is mobile, right? It's just like up and down. So
I know that our VODs definitely get transcoded if they're vertical, but from what I've seen, like the live streams, like I can really only get source segments, and then like 1% or 10% of the time I actually am getting the transcoded segments in the M3 U8 as well. So something to look into.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, we can definitely dive into that. So, as always, thanks for joining us, Transmental. Papa Bear, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Sure. Sorry, I am Papa Bear, and I have been running my orchestrators for a year and a half or so. I don't know, but it's not really a topic, but I was just kind of curious to know. I had an issue I guess it was last week, end of last week, where for some reason, and I use AWS for my geolocation, or I was, and it was sending only the test streams. It was sending my Los Angeles ones to New York and my New York ones to Los Angeles, but regular streams were going to the right place, and it was just a real odd thing. And I ended up switching over to Cloudflare, and it it's working fine now. And I actually started to work on AWS. Well, I was in the process of like transitioning over. I was like setting up Cloudflare. So I don't know if it was just some weird little transient thing, but I was just wondering if anyone else has ever seen anything like that before. It was just odd. But yeah, so I don't know if you want to call that a topic, but that's my my contribution for the week, or my question.
I just wrote down test streams.
That works. That works.
Because well, my follow up to that would be also traffic. I'd like to talk about traffic as well, because I'm seeing odd traffic patterns. So hopefully maybe I can get some feedback from other people.
Sure.
Yeah, like I have no traffic. Like a month ago, it was all New York, and like all New York, and now I get no New York. I get only Singapore and Sao Paulo. It's like I don't think the network changed that much. Like I don't get any North American or European work, and all I get is Singapore and Sao Paulo.
Maybe that's a router thing.
No, because Titan Node is still running on AWS.
Oh, I thought you switched.
No, it wasn't working properly. So Livepeer Academy is running on the router. I had to switch it back because the Livepeer router was failing. It's not production ready. So I had to pull it off.
I mean, I guess we can get into it later, but just quickly, I can't speak to Sao, but I definitely have seen a lot more traffic in Singapore than I have in the past. But still, by far, the bulk of the work is still coming from the East Coast, both in New York and Chicago.
Yeah,
for me,
because Chase Media, her node is also getting like no work from any of these, and she doesn't run any geo stuff. It's just a endpoint, and yeah, New York and LA and all those ones should be totally fine, and just it's like dead in the water. So I don't know, it's kind of weird.
Interesting. Yeah, good topic then. We'll get into that. See if anyone has yes.
Yeah. So yeah, and thank you for joining us, Papa Bear. Interptr,
Thank you for having me.
Would you like to introduce yourself and a topic? Hello, sir. I don't hear you. I don't know if you're talking. Interptr, are you with us? You may need to leave and rejoin. Oh.
Can you guys hear me now?
There we go. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Hi, this is Peter, and I run the Interptr nodes orchestrators, and have so for I think it's almost exactly 2 years. Which, by the way,
Oh, hello. There's like a cliffhanger and a half.
unfortunately, I've got a weird situation.
You're coming in and out quite a bit.
Yeah, let's see if this is any better. Can you guys hear me now?
I can hear you. Yes.
All right, great. I was just noting that I think you said you started in April 2022, Titan, but I believe it was 2021.
That's what I
think
meant.
you came in a month after I did.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I also host the Interptr latest test streams, which is kind of something I thought I'd put out there as kind of a topic today as well. Just curious what kind of features you guys might be interested in seeing added to that. I've just felt like picking it up again. I haven't been doing much front-end web work for a while, but thought I'd just play around with it again. So thought I'd kind of take a pulse and see if there were any big asks that community wanted added to that.
Very good. Well, either way, I personally use that test stream dashboard religiously, like almost every day. So very, very cool app, and use it all the time. So yeah, we'll definitely jump into that topic. Either way, great to see you back, Interptr, and longtime member. So thanks for being here. Chase Media, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Hello everyone, it's Chase Media here. I've been running the node for about a year, and my topic really is quite aligned with Titan's because I'm basically just getting test streams and have been doing so for over a week. So maybe it's at our end, I don't know, but we're just wondering to see if anybody else is experiencing that. So otherwise, that's it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us. Vires, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Hey all, I've been running the Vires and ETH orchestrator since 4 years now. No specific topic from my side, but curious about all those that already have been mentioned.
Very good. All right. There we go. We've gone through topics. Oh, we got Troy that has joined us. Troy, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic? Troy, are you with us? No worries. We'll come back around to you. I don't know. Your little microphone says you're still muted. Okay, let's jump into it. I'd like to start with an announcement. I'm trying out. So we had 2 weeks ago. We had Pablo on here that is working on Broadcastr .xyz, and Broadcastr is a way to do a live streaming NFT. And so I'm going to try that product out on Thursday. So Thursday around this time, I'm going to be doing a live stream basically through OpenSea. And we're going to see how that goes. So if anyone wants to join in and jump in the chat and want to contribute, I'm going to be doing a giveaway, some Matic giveaway. It's a little clickbaity, but I just want to see, how it works, how it interacts, all these kind of things. So if anyone wants to moderate or help with the trivia questions, would really appreciate that. That'll be on Thursday. And a quick update from the Livepeer Router. Been working on that. I know Brad has been working on that a lot. Same with Elite. And we finally got a decent working version. We've ran through a ton of different settings, and we found out that you have an authentication token from a Broadcastr that needs to be refreshed. I don't know, within every 30 minutes or something. So we had to deal with that. But I believe once we did that, it works quite well, or at least how we have it set up right now. Livepeer Academy, if I look at the Interptr test stream dashboard, it's using 100% the router, and I believe, I'm just checking it now, it has pretty much a great global performance. So I'll throw that in the chat here if you want to go look at the test streams. I see that Frankfurt has one part where it dropped segments. Now that could just be from my end on the pool end, but otherwise, for using only the router, it looks like it's getting pretty good global coverage. So pretty happy with that update so far. Still lots coming down the pipeline though. Yeah, so let's jump into some other topics. Transmental, do you want to start us off with your vertical streaming question? That was a really interesting topic. I'd love to focus on some of that stuff first.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I thought I was muted. I hope you didn't hear my keyboard.
No,
I've
you're
been,
good.
like half working while I'm listening. But so yeah, so this morning I just hopped on. Like I said, we have this Xenon mobile Broadcastr application, and we've kind of noticed in the past that when streaming from the mobile app, that like getting a transcoder to pick it up and actually do the transcoding is a little bit inconsistent. And then I actually kind of dialed it down further this morning just out of curiosity. We've been really focused on the web app, and admittedly the mobile app has kind of not gotten the attention that it needs. But I dialed it down to actually every time I go live with a horizontal stream, like and the source segments are 1920 by 1080 wide. I receive the transcoded segments that our catalyst that our B is asking for in the M3U8. So the M3U8 returns 3 different levels of segments to play from, and basically every time I go live with a vertical oriented video, it only returns the source file. So I don't know, like from that, I don't think that there's anything on our end that we could be doing differently. Like we send the video to the B in the same way from the mobile device, regardless of which orientation it is. On Xenon, like we force the VOD uploaded videos to get transcoded. And if there's any sort of problem with the transcoding, they get rejected and the user has to like try again. So I've tested uploading vertical oriented videos on through Livepeer on Xenon, and it's they go through fine. So I'm thinking that it's got to be something with the like live streaming flow. But just for context, like we use Catalyst, and like all of the other streams on our platform that I've seen that come from like a desktop, I can always jump up and down levels with HLS.load level in the console, and like I can look at the M3U8 and it returns because our Broadcastr only asks for 720p and 360p resolutions. And so I haven't seen this issue outside of the mobile app really. But just this morning dialing it down to like, oh, it's actually just the mobile app plus vertical live streams.
If you do it on the mobile app, if you have your phone sideways, does it go through?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's only the vertical orientation. On the mobile app, you can do horizontal live streams, and those get transcoded every time. And so what the testing process for me, if anybody wants to like go and test it out, is log into the connect to your Xenon mobile Broadcastr. I can throw a link somewhere if anybody wants to grab it. connected to an account on the Xenon app, and then you can go live and you can choose whether you like before you start your live stream if you want to start it vertically or start it horizontally. But initially I was thinking like, oh, maybe it's something to do with on our end with the mobile app, but from what I could tell, just looking through the code, like there's no changes, and I don't see why there would be any changes in the way that we send the video to the B initially.
When you send
Okay.
it from the B to the O, do you have to send it with what the resolution, like what the what the frame size is, or is it just sending it with the bit rate and you're asking for a smaller bit rate?
So we ask it for, I don't think that we have the option to ask it for particular bit rates. We ask it for certain profiles. So when we send from Catalyst to an orchestrator, we go, hey, here's this source file. Please give me back, a 720p profile and a 360p profile.
Right.
But there is no we don't explicitly say, hey, this source file is in this profile. It kind of just goes to the O, and the O is supposed to be able to decide which profile the source file is in, and then decide from its list of transcoders that are attached to which transcoders can handle that profile, right?
Right. So if a video gets sent in non 1080p, will it still transcode it?
Yeah, we do 4K. Like I've done 4K from OBS and it transcodes it.
What about would a phone send it in 720p and then maybe it's getting it and saying, oh hey, this is already 720p, we're not gonna send it back?
Nah, that's not the case, because I've streamed 360p video from my terminal, just FFmpeg stream. I've streamed source 360p video through Livepeer, and it actually gives back the transcoded profiles that we asked for.
Right.
So, and so the phone actually, yeah, you're right. It does send 720p video to the O or to the B, but it's just odd that it's the same resolution. It's just flipped in orientation when it's horizontal, and the horizontal videos always get transcoded, and the vertical videos seem to have, it's like 9 out of 10 that don't get transcoded when they're vertical orientation.
Oh, interesting. Have you? Yeah, because you're going through Catalyst. So, have you tried to?
Have you tried saving it to a file and just using FFmpeg to send it over in both formats? Vertical and horizontal. I'm just curious.
I can try
VOD
that.
works. VOD works.
VOD does work, but what Mike is saying is FFmpeg live stream up the vertical video, and I haven't tried that, so that would be interesting.
Oh, I gotcha.
Because you don't want to completely eliminate the fact that it could be your app, right?
Right. No, 100%.
Obviously, I'm not ragging on you, but if you could eliminate that, then we would know. Okay, for sure.
Developers are human. Developers are human. They make assumptions. I mean, there may be an assumption in the Livepeer software that basically disallows this, or it's unexpected behavior.
Well, that's kind of why I want to bring it up, is because for Livepeer to be really successful, like there's so much live streaming happening on TikTok and on Instagram Live, and there's a lot. So if Livepeer is somehow fundamentally just not able to transcode real-time vertical video, then that's a huge problem for the amount of capturable market share. And so, but the thing is with the app that we have is it wouldn't make sense to me for the horizontal videos to 100% of the time be reaching a T and returning source segments, but the vertical videos not. Like we send it, I looked at the code already, like we send it up in the same way.
Right. So
I will
that's the
I will
only
try
difference.
That's
Broadcastr.
the
Might be a
only difference.
Broadcastr.
Right.
Or you think it's the O. I mean, it could be all levels, but right now, just for trying to do some more testing would be the way to narrow it.
Yeah. So Mike, you're saying basically just try doing a vertical video straight from the terminal FFmpeg.
Yes.
And live stream. Yeah, I mean that's a great test. I'll
And what
check
else
it
I
out.
would do is send it directly to the broadcaster. Don't go through Xenon at all. Like send that
Mm.
video to the B directly and see if you can get it back. Because if you can eliminate Xenon from the issue by just sending it to the broadcaster and seeing the same result, then you can eliminate your entire stack from the problem, right?
I mean that's effectively what streaming with FFmpeg would do, right? Because we just have the broadcaster URL plus the stream key.
Oh, yes. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
So yeah, I'll try that out. But I definitely think that there should be some. I don't know really who to bring it up to, but there should be some look into like we should make sure that Livepeer is handling vertical oriented live streams the way that it's supposed to.
Yeah, add that to the functional suites of tests that they're conducting. If they don't have then add it, right? Like sounds very important.
Nah, yeah. If they're not actively testing the fact that like mobile streams are coming through fine, then that's a huge miss.
That'd be a major miss.
And I mean, and doesn't I mean VOD and live they're not differentiated on as far as the way Livepeer handles them. So
Well,
I mean,
that's what
we don't
what's
know.
confusing for us is like Mike, I see what you're saying, and I will test that. But with our process, we are basically sending up VODs and live streams in the same way. The only difference on our VOD flow is we do our own parallelization. So we split the source file into like different chunks before and then send out like 8 jobs for one video, right? Rather than sending one job or concurrent jobs for the same stream.
What does I'm assuming you're sending this work to your own orchestrator and transcoder. Do you see any errors on the T itself?
Our production website points at you, Titan Node, Video Miner, and Authority Null. And the Xenon org.
Right. Okay. So would it be worth just sending it to yourself and checking the logs to see if you have any like out of bound pointer issues? Because I know like T's on my end get that all the time sometimes. Like
Yeah, we have it in dev. We only pointed ourselves, so that's probably worth trying out as well, just to see like on the transcoder side what's going on. But yeah, it's interesting just that like a quick switch of the orientation and starting a new stream, boom, it's getting transcoded. Yeah.
Interesting.
So who's the person at Livepeer that we can even contact about something like this? Who works on who's the right tech person?
Probably Tom, right? THOM.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So I'll ping him and just say, hey, like, not sure what you guys have in the line of like tests that you do, but it'd be great to make sure that mobile videos or mobile live streams are supported. And I'll kind of explain what I'm finding, but it's just funny. It does seem like maybe there's some out of bounds things going on, to your point, because there are, like I said, 9 out of 10 times it doesn't get transcoded roughly, but then there is certain times I start a stream and like, oh, I'm getting all 3 levels that I'm asking for. So that's why it's like I'm gonna do the test and make sure that nothing on our end is wonky, but it seems like the sporadic, like the fact that it's sporadic makes me kind of point at Livepeer.
But
Well,
sporadic could
thing
also
that's
be
odd to
orchestrated.
me is that
Right. Not just Livepeer. I'm saying like the O might not be deciding like which T's can handle this video. correctly.
What's just strange to me is that it works with VOD and not with live streams, because they go down the same pipe as line. As
Well,
far
we
as I understand.
pre-process the VODs though, so that might be the factor, right? Like
Oh, I see what you're saying.
we run an FFmpeg script on the VODs beforehand to break them into separate chunks so we can get higher rates of parallelization.
Gotcha.
And it's modifying it in a way that allows it to go in, and it won't care of orientation. And that's interesting.
Possibly, yeah. I know that we don't modify the orientation when sending it to the O's, but it could be wrapping it in a different codec or something.
There you go. I think if you need help from any of us orchestrators, like definitely reach out. But otherwise, I think there's not much I don't think we could do to help you. But we're here to support you in any way we can. Because I think up and down vertical oriented live streaming is a must.
It's huge.
It's huge. Yeah. It's like,
I mean, kind of the only reason I wanted to bring it up to you guys is this is the community that kind of has pull on Livepeer as a foundation, and so, but also like if you guys want to go and kind of run some tests on your own on your end as well, see if you find anything, because I'm one person who's not necessarily a dev, but I definitely pay attention to these things because I know it's important for the audit, for the viewer. So yeah, it would be helpful if you guys could kind of like test these theories out with me as well.
good to know. I like it. The other thing is Livepeer, or sorry, just to confirm, Transmental, I sent you an endpoint, which is my Los Angeles endpoint. Are you using that as my endpoint for Titan Node?
That's what we have listed in our catalysts. Yep.
Okay. Because that one is real wonky.
Oh.
And I don't want that to be affecting you guys.
Which one should we be using?
Because that was pointing to the router, but the router has been, I've been messing around with it a lot. You need to send it to Toronto now.
Okay.
Okay, so Tor instead of LA.
Well, you just DM it to me and we can switch it the next time we run a catalyst update.
Cool.
Wait, so the LA one isn't your master router, master node anymore?
Well, it was until I figured out how to get it to work better on Toronto. So then I switched everything to Toronto. So
okay,
LA was probably still returning stuff, but it was like really intermittent and not reliable.
So that, I mean, that could be our problem.
Maybe you're sending it to me and I'm just dropping the ball. Like, I mean,
it could be.
9 out of 10 times seems
9
out of 10 times seems unrealistic though if you have other orchestrators to choose from. But yeah, send it to Toronto because that one is actually working in production. Whereas this one, I don't know, I'm having issues with it. So the problem is I'm trying new stuff too, so it doesn't help. If you're using me, you might want to just send it back to my original on-chain endpoint, which is just tight node service. Because then, but for you, where's your Broadcastr located?
Midwest, I believe.
Okay, so yeah, it'll just keep going to New York. See, but I'd want it to go to LA if it's Midwest, I think. So
welcome
Midwest
to try
kind of is closer to New York,
link.
actually. Weird enough.
What's that?
Midwest is actually it's funny. Funny enough, it's closer to the East Coast.
Oh, is it? Right. Okay.
It's like Chicago.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So why do they call it Midwest? It would be like Mid-East.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't know. I lived in Chicago for a while, and it always confused me why they call that Midwest.
Is Chicago considered Midwest?
Yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Right.
That's Mid-East.
It just sounds cooler than Mid East.
Midwest
Yeah,
choppers. Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be politically correct. You're not supposed to say Mideast, I think.
Well, there you go.
Oh, that's maybe a little too close to Middle East.
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay. Anyway,
And sorry, I had to dip in and out a few times, but Transmental, if there's any testing you need us to do on the pool side or on my orchestrator, just let me know.
Are you do you help out on Video Miner?
What are you asking exactly? Sorry.
Like, are you a part of the video miner pool?
Yeah, I have a
Okay, okay.
transcoder from my US East node pointing to video.
Oh, Ben. Okay, I got you. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah,
I didn't know who was talking.
it's just me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, if anything, if you see any like, I wish it was easier for me to just be like, oh yeah, this stream is on, being transcoded by, like, we can find it. It just, there should be some, like, on the O side, you should be able to tell like who the B is, right? Like who the B is that's sending you
Yeah,
On the O
work.
side,
we
we
see
can
the,
tell.
we
We
see
can
the sender.
Sender
Yeah.
is part of it.
Yeah, okay.
yeah, we can see who sends us work. So,
Does
yeah.
it come in like a URL form, like I'll have to see what.
Yeah,
What
there
it
is a
is.
URL with the sender, and there's also log output that prints out on the orchestrator side the actual sender's IP and, like, the protocol and stuff. So it's definitely in there.
All
And
right.
you can
Well,
tell
if you
from
guys see
the ETH address.
xenon.xyz in your logs anywhere and there's something funky happening, please reach out and let us know.
Well, we only get the IP and the ETH address, I believe. We won't see
Okay.
Xenon. But yeah, I mean, we know what IPs are ingest and what IPs are someone else. So,
But you get
Yeah.
an ETH address as well.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
get the ETH address.
we get the Broadcastr ETH address.
Okay. So yeah, I can definitely figure out which streams are coming from us then.
We're running Loki, so Loki will be able to. You give us an IP and a stream key or anything, ETH address, we'll be able to match all your streams
Yeah, we can
up.
filter that out and look for.
I can give you stream IDs as well then.
If you
Yeah,
have
the
them, we don't need
manifest
them, but
ID is something we can
yeah.
filter as well.
So it would actually be interesting. I'm gonna post this in this chat. If you either Titan or somebody from Video Miner could look for this stream ID in your
Is
logs.
that something we get in the logs? Does anyone know? The actual stream ID, or do we just get, is that the manifest ID? Is that the same thing?
Not sure. Yeah, they call it different things. There's a stream key, there's a manifest. That value should be one of the two, I think. I would imagine it's the manifest.
So I can get you the manifest is what returns the M3U8, right?
Ooh,
I don't know.
yeah, that's a little more specific in the protocol that I think we know. I'm not 100% sure on that one.
All good.
But
Well,
you
actually,
do
what's
kick off a
interesting
stream
is
key, right? When you kick off that stream, the stream key is going to definitely be present for all of them. Because I
the
know when we
stream
kick off
key?
an OBS, like when we kick off from OBS, we'll give it like a key, and then that key is present for all the streams that it sends out from our OBS. At least that's the way it was when we
But
run our broadcast.
I'm not sure it's exposed though. It's
Oh,
exposed
I
to the
see.
Broadcastr, but I don't
Right.
think the Broadcastr exposes that to the O.
Yeah, you're right.
This stream ID that I sent in the chat is actually the same stream ID that returns with the endpoint that returns the index.m3u8. You should have this in your logs.
Yeah, it should be there then.
If you can't find it, put 2B in front of it. 2B is the, so just real quick, I'll drop the actual index.m3u8 endpoint in here, and you'll see that it's stream %sign 2B and then that same key.
I mean, I can do a
though
search for that right now in the Loki logs for Video Miner.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
won't
think
have that
comes up.
whole link because that's the CDN that's actually protected. Like you can't
Right.
even you can't FF play that. But you should be able to find that stream ID. You just might have to put that 2B in front. I'm not sure. And if not, I can actually just send you the Broadcastr address.
I think that might be a better bet. I mean, I don't
You
know
can
how
grab
far
it off
back I should be
Explorer.
searching.
Just grab it off Explorer. You should be able to grab and do the quick search.
Yeah, because I know for a fact that will show up. I'm not sure about.
Because we just have this one stream running, and like for the first, this one's actually interesting. This is a different case, but for the first 45 minutes to an hour of this stream running, I was getting returned segments. Like the segments were returning, or the M3U8 was returning with the 3 different levels that we asked for. And then I'm looking at our logs on our end, and Livepeer, I think this is on our end actually, but it's calling stream end while the stream is still live. So it's like we're definitely uncovering some weird things, but I haven't seen this before. Like I've had live streams go for like 12 hours on Xenon and they've transcoded the entire time. But it seems like sometimes if there's some issue in the transcoding in the middle of the live stream, it's like the O doesn't like send the job back out. Like, you know, it's okay if some issue happens with a transcoder, and like it's only returning source files for a couple seconds or a minute or two. But the O needs to be actively searching for another T to take on the work. Or if it's not, then it should go to a different O.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm filtering out your address. So if it comes up, at least I'll see it in Loki.
Yeah, sweet. Let me know.
All right.
Dropping
actually-
bombs on a Monday, Transmental. Let's go.
I'm just trying to help out. You know, I don't want anybody, any activity on the network to be missed. And like, I'm hooked up to Video Miner right now, and I'm just seeing like I haven't gotten a job since 10 p.m. last night, and I'm just like, okay, well, that's weird because I feel like people are using the network, but you know, I just
on
want
your
to
orchestrator, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, on my T. I just have my local T hooked up to Video Miner.
Yeah, we just don't have the stake to catch those
word.
streams, unfortunately.
Wait, so just out of curiosity, how much does the stake weigh in deciding who the work goes to?
A
'Cause
lot.
Huge.
really, because I would think that that it should really be the
Performance and capability
performance.
based.
Right.
Yes, we've all talked about this at length. We even started a side group to do the performance reliability board and come up with ways to do it, but we've yet to land on something that could drive that selection process.
I mean, there should be like a scoring mechanism almost and it shouldn't just rely on the scoring mechanism. It should also take into account the proximity from the B and like yeah, I don't know. I think that the
Well, I
stake.
think the proximity is not as important, but the response time is, right? And the latency. So if you're far away, but you have a good network, as long as the latency is good, you should be getting work. So
Yeah,
I think
latency
there's
is better. Yeah, metric. But regardless, I think the stake base weight is kind of ridiculous if there's other mechanisms of slashing if O's are doing bad work.
No, okay. I think I just want to clarify something. The stake weighted selection only comes back if everyone is real time in the working group. So ideally what would happen is if you have 10 orchestrators that all can do the work in real time, because it is saved by the Broadcastr, this information, then it goes to stake weighted just to select amongst the people that can do the work effectively, right?
It is still extremely heavily stake weighted, though, right? You can't deny that. I mean, that's why Vires has 40-something streams. I mean, it used to be a lot more, so maybe they changed something. but that's why he has a lot of streams and everybody else doesn't.
Hmm.
Right?
I have no streams, so I don't know what happened to me.
I mean, what's the alternative, right? If you would like distribute it just equally amongst all transcoders or orchestrators, or
I would.
there's
I mean,
no real decentralized
there's performance.
capability testing.
There's real
I mean-
performance. There's real world performance, which from working with people on Video Miner, like there are so many metrics you can pull out and send streams specifically pertaining to those metrics that Livepeer probably just isn't looking at right now, especially with VOD. That's going to be so important to take those metrics into consideration when sending out.
It is a little tricky to gauge though, because if an orchestrator has no work currently and gets a test stream, no matter what GPU they're running, they're going to be doing a lot better with no other streams versus if they have 5 or 10 concurrent streams while the test.
Well, that's why.
Well, you could do
why
like a
you
load
keep
balance.
you keep the data over time, and then you can rate them on their capabilities. Like if you have a capacity of, say, 10, 20 streams for your GPU and it's currently busy, right? Like the busyness and the latency should be paired together.
The thing is, it's hard to do that decentralized, because we can do that, and we do that in our, in Video Miner, obviously, but we're able to continually monitor that, because once it gets to us, we have that
Yeah,
data.
it's
But
super centralized. But what
to
if
do that-
orchestrators could assess other orchestrators' performance and our nodes acted as a gauge for that somehow? So the network is constantly checking its own performance. I don't know. I just think the whole stake weighted thing is a bit
I mean,
much.
I guess to that matter, I guess the stake weightedness is also centralized, because it has to know what the stake is. But I guess that's on chain. I don't know how that works. How that's
It is on chain.
If the O sent back the number of, maybe this would be tough with multiple transcoders per orchestrator, but if the O was able to send back the number of current streams with the test stream, that might provide another interesting data point to correlate with the test stream performance.
It can't, but like I hear test stream a lot and I understand the value there. At some point though, the test streams become sort of irrelevant with usage of the network, right? And then it's like, all right, now you're being rated on your real world performance of how you're handling, a multitude of different codecs and different types of input, right? Because it's like the test streams are great, but I think that sometimes the test streams miss on like specifically like VOD codecs, like different types of VOD formats, and I think that you at some point you have to stop doing test streams and you just have to grade everybody on real world.
Yeah, and also just so test streams are really just for us as orchestrators to kind of gauge like that everything's up and running. Those aren't considered at all in any part of the selection process. That's just a kind of a sanity check for us to make sure everything's working.
Smoke test, if you will.
Well, look, this is way off topic, but again, I had proposed, maybe a few months ago where we talked about integrating Livepeer with streamer.network, where it's basically like, telemetry collection data over streams in a decentralized fashion. And again, doing this would allow us to push data from our Livepeer ecosystem into streamer network. And then it could be T specific, O specific, and B specific. And then the B could subscribe to these streamer topics and basically pull that chain data to get that performance metrics data. And again, this was a really simplified version of what we talked about in detail in some of these other conversations and past water coolers. But again, this is the area in which Jarvis from I forget where, Switzerland Media Network, he was trying to broadcast, and he came in here looking at the Broadcastr. A couple other people popped in and out through the time, and now Transmental and the Xenon groups here talking the same stuff. So again, there's opportunities here, and I think that streamer network approach to that opt-in metrics, and then allowing those the Broadcastr to tap into that metrics for free on chain is probably an approach worth looking at. I'd be willing to have some of those discussions if you guys want to talk outside of
I'm
this.
gonna hit you. I'm gonna definitely hit you up on Discord, Mike C. I like where this conversation is going, but I've got to drop for a meeting. Thank you guys.
Hey guys.
Cool, man.
Oh,
Good to hear
dude, you
from
were my next topic about the dashboard. Damn it.
Sorry. Well,
Sorry.
maybe next time.
Next
or
week.
if you guys can answer the question of looking at the Interptr latest test streams, what have you said to yourself? Oh well, I wish I could see this, and just drop that in Discord somewhere for me, and I'll see if I can add it. I just rather not chase things that the community
No
isn't
one's
looking
going to
for.
use. Yep, no doubt.
Good call. I like it.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks, dude. Yo, I have to bounce to a meeting as well, but I dropped in the orchestrating channel, just what I'm looking at these are both these screenshots are coming from the Xenon mobile broadcaster. One is vertical, and you can see it's responding. The M3U8 responds with the source resolution, and the other one is horizontal. And I'm getting the source resolution and then a 720 version of that, or 720p version of that, and then the 360. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. But I gotta hop. Thank you guys.
Cheers. No worries.
Yeah,
All right.
later.
Where was that posted? Just
And
for
the
a little-
orchestrating
Oh,
channel.
orchestrating. Okay.
Yep. Later, guys.
Take it easy.
Peace. So we got. I'm just looking at this right now. Do we get a picture of Transmental in here? Is that him? That's great. What a lovely beard. I love it. Cool. Okay. Let's keep going on. That was a very interesting conversation. Yeah, definitely want to make sure that we can handle that type of live streaming work. Okay, next topic. Let's see. The tax calculator and the querying of the graph. Authority, do you want to talk about your topic and ask your questions?
Sure. So with Mike's help, I was able to learn a little bit of JavaScript, just enough to query the Arbiscan API and pull some info from the log. So right now, I'm able to display the block number, the amount of LPT received for a reward call, and the date. What I'm trying to figure out now on the graph is what the query is to pull all the reward changes transactions. So anytime an O changes their reward cut, and I just don't know anything about the graph or how to query, so I was hoping someone could help me write a query that looks for that.
Let me check my graph queries, and I probably could help you with that. You just have to give me a bit of time. Obviously, I'd have to look into it, but I've been spending a lot of time looking at how to query the graph and also lens lately. So, but it would look something like. Let's see.
Well, there's two things while you guys are discussing that. Just want to reiterate that Authority put a bounty out there for this tax calculator. So if there's an ambitious developer who wants to take this task on and feels like they can implement it, I think there's some money in a pot that people are willing to pay to implement this. So if you want to go grab that bounty, it's out there. And the other thing I wanted to say was if you look Authority in the subgraph, on the right hand side there's a schema section, and it has all the metadata for all of the queries you can run. So for example, if the one query I gave you had winning tickets from the winning tickets query. But if you look on the right hand side, you'll see a schema section, and then you can click on that, and then it'll show you, oh, you can call transcoder, winning events, like all the possible like events you can listen for, transactions you can query,
Oh, I
and then
see.
what
I was like
you see what I'm
searching in that
saying?
search box, and I didn't know you could see
Yeah.
there's like a bunch of templates that are
All of
already
them are
laid
all on
out.
the right-hand side. But they're not just templates. They're the actual entities that are going to be queryable from that graph. So
Yeah.
like
I
it'll
see.
say, you click on it, then it'll show you all the fields it has as well.
Okay, yeah. One thing you have to keep in mind though, the graph playground is for Ethereum mainnet. So you're gonna have to use the Arbitrum. Here, I'll post the link.
No, we have a playground for the Arbitrum one as well, and I have that link. I was sharing that with Ben. So, and I actually shared that with Transmental. He was doing some Discord bots using the same stuff. So,
Yeah,
you're
so
right.
in Visual
But
Studio Code, we have like a little file laid out for querying the graph on Arbitrum. So I should be able to play around with it on the API.graph thing and then pull it into the file that I'm
that's
working on.
right. Once you get it working in that sandbox, then you can copy the query out of there, paste it into your program.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. I use the playground. So the second link I put in the sidebar, I use the little explorer on the right, and I build the query just by clicking. You can literally just, like, if you want the bond event, you click it, and you have to select, you fill it in all on the right, and it gives you the query on the left. And then use the first link I gave you. You can paste that in there, and it'll give you back the actual data, just as an example.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And just to restate, there's a lot of work that's got to go into this to get it to actually print out useful information and show it in like a spreadsheet format. If anybody wants to help with it, there's people here who will pay for that kind of stuff because taxes suck. So please reach out if you want to help.
Have you looked at other programs or any other tax accounting stuff for crypto? I know there's some out there, but they might not
Yeah, so
be
there's
this specific.
I think Coinly is the biggest one. Is that if that's the name?
Coinly with a K, yes.
Yeah, they don't look at like staking metrics. They're not showing you your reward calls. They're not showing you any of that information. They're just showing you transactions, right? And all the reward stuff is done like through contracts, and we're
And it
taking
links addresses. So if you had an address that linked to another address that linked to another address, it'll allow you to spider all that stuff. But it doesn't say, oh, this is a reward event from Livepeer. Let's calculate your reward cut and see how much LPT you earned. Like, it's not doing that kind of stuff.
And personally, I see this as a missing piece and just a market that hasn't been tapped at all yet. And if this can become a product that doesn't just reach Livepeer, but other staking protocols where I'm sure this is a pain point as well, then I see it as being a pretty big deal. If there's a website with a button that generates you a sheet with all your tax information for staking, I would pay for that.
Interesting. Yeah, and you could and if the graph is querying all this data, all you'd have to do is make these templates for each protocol that be like, oh, this is what a staking reward would look like in this protocol. So,
right.
You could calculate it.
Yeah,
based
that's
on
what I
those.
told Ben.
Yeah.
You need the graph. You need to build those queries and all the different transaction groupings and all that stuff in the graph first. If you had it there, then you could pretty much just query that and output it to a spreadsheet real easy. But what he's doing is he's going in against the L1 or the L2 transactions. He's finding the block data and then he's spidering it manually in the code to go get the data, which again, that's what the graph was built to do. But he's just trying to brute force his way to getting his
I'm just
taxes
fumbling
done.
around trying to
Yeah,
figure
he
out how
tried
to make this work.
how to make it work to get his taxes done.
Dude, that makes me so bullish on the graph. What a tool.
Oh
It's
yeah,
very good.
graph's good.
Dude, isn't it? And they're multi-chain.
Except for when it crashes.
Yeah,
What happened last week, right? Didn't it crash or something? It took everything down. Like all kinds of stuff went down.
Lols. Yeah. It's a work in progress. They're still building over there. Well, they're dealing with moving to layer 2. They're moving to Arbitrum as well. So they're like,
oh really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they've got massive upgrade. They're trying to get their whole delegating and staking protocol is going to be moving to the Arbitrum, and they have to move all their indexers over. Like, they've got a big move, just like we did, except we were, a lot lighter
Oh,
and nimble.
yeah.
They're a bit more of a Titanic of a ship to move, so I would imagine it's going to be quite the transition for them.
So is it going to be in addition to Polygon, and they're going to move, or everything's going to leave Polygon and move over to Arbitrum?
When you say Polygon, what do you mean by that?
Or isn't that where they are now?
No, they're on Ethereum mainnet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I
If you
thought they
wanna-
were on Polygon network.
No. So the graph, they do indexing for, I think, like 30-something chains, right? So, like, the indexers index for tons and tons of different protocols. Like,
Right.
But the staking, the actual protocol, the management of
I see.
the management of the indexers,
Incentives for the indexers is all done on Ethereum.
it's all
I
done
see.
on Ethereum mainnet, right?
Okay.
So, like, if you want to stake your graph to an indexer and point towards, their reliability and trustfulness and all these kind of things, it's all done on mainnet, right?
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
like, if I went to go stake some more graph and it was like, $15 staking a gas fee, I was like, I left this last year, guys. Like, come on, like, it's pretty brutal. If you want to withdraw your stake, like, if you have less than $100 staked, like, it's not even worth withdrawing because you'll just get eaten up in gas fees, right?
Wow.
So yeah, they have a major problem with and it goes again. It's the same problem we had. Whales don't care because they have $100,000 staked, and it's like, whatever, I can pay a $15 fee. I don't, it's nothing. But all the little guys are like, well, I don't even make that in rewards, so this isn't working for me, right? So that's what's happening at the graph. So they're transitioning to Arbitrum.
Speaking of fees, I had something weird happen this morning. I redeemed a ticket, and I don't even usually check, but I noticed it was like $1.26 to redeem the ticket, and usually they're like 30 cents. And it used a
Wow.
lot of the gas limit was like crazy high, and I don't know what controls that. I looked at some other transactions from other people that redeemed, and theirs were all normal in like that normal range. So maybe varies. I don't know. Do you know like what
It
causes
does.
sometimes
It does
the
vary.
gas?
Arbitrum has spikes, right?
Well, I mean, it was still, at 0.1 or 0.01 or whatever it is. Like that was the same, but the amount of gas was like 8 million gwei versus like a million or something like that it normally is in that million-ish range.
Was it your limit or the actual price per, like, the gas price?
The gas price is the same. It was like where, hold on, I'll give you the exact terminology here.
Yeah, it's either the gas price or your gas limit that was high, right?
The limit was really high. Yeah, the limit was like really high.
So on your other transactions, are they using the same amount of gas?
No. I mean, like the limit was high and the amount used was high, and I've never like none of my other ones was it anywhere near that. Like on this one that was $1.26. Thank God this is L2, so not a big deal. But this used 7.5 million. I guess this is in gwei. Yeah, that was the gas limit. Sorry, not was the gas limit. That was what was used on a one. If I go back to I don't know, just pick another random one here. It was, this one's actually pretty high too. Well, actually 2 million on this one here, but I've seen a lot that are like in the million range. So I was just wondering what causes that to change. It should be, I would think, fairly static, the amount of gas or the use.
I think, if I remember correctly, the gas works quite different on Arbitrum compared to mainnet. So I think the
because
gas
I'm
limit
looking
is
at another.
Also, it's adjusted according to I think it's dependent
Volume.
on the gas price on mainnet as well.
Okay, because
And
like yeah, I'm looking at another one here. It was like 661,000, gas used versus 8 million or 7.5 million this morning, so over 10 times the amount.
Well,
Um,
I know that. So the way fees work on Arbitrum is inverse to mainnet. So it could be that there was not many transactions in your block, and so therefore your transaction becomes more expensive.
Hmm.
Because
So there's like a kind of like a set fee for the block, and then like however if there's fewer people, then that's split between less people that are all paying for that.
yeah,
Well, that's compressing them all in, right?
yeah,
Multiple transactions.
the way our rollups work is the more transactions, the cheaper it gets. Whereas mainnet is the opposite. The more transactions, the more expensive it gets, right? So
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
so the gas in order to do the L1 transaction is essentially split amongst all of the rollup transactions in that block. So if you're like the only one, if you do a rollup, but you're the only one in the rollup for that block, then you pretty much have to
Paying
pay
the whole block.
You got to pay for the whole block,
Whole
right?
price.
Yeah. So then you're going to be paying the L1 transaction fee essentially. If you're sharing that L2 block with 1 million people, then essentially you're splitting the gas amongst 1 million other people for the L1 transaction. So
That makes sense.
becomes super cheap, right? So
Right.
as
So I guess
demand and rises and falls on rollups, that can affect your price quite a bit.
right, and again, it's a fairly small amount, but I guess if so maybe an update that Livepeer would want to do if for if you want to keep things like low, like instead of having a gas limit or because currently we can set like a max, what is it, max gas? Is that I don't use it anymore, but
Yeah.
it would really be like a max gas limit, I guess, or that you'd want to be able to put into play if you wanted to keep those fees down instead of because the gas price stays the same. I mean, it's always 0.1.
Yeah, I don't
Now
think there is a max gas limit. The problem with setting a max gas limit on layer 1 was that you could foresee how much gas you would roughly have to pay. So there'd be almost no reason to change your max gas limit because the only reason for a limit on L1 is to make sure that you don't get gobbled up by an infinite loop accidentally and you have to spend all this money. But on L2, gas limit becomes an actual thing you could change. Whereas on L1, they didn't build in that functionality because it doesn't actually really make sense. That's just a static thing, right? So
the gas price is static.
On L1, gas limit is basically
on
static.
L1. Sorry,
So,
L1.
Yeah, L1, like if because gas is used up by how many pluses and minuses and multiplication, division, right? These all have gas cost to them, right? So you can foresee ahead of time roughly how much
how complicated that transaction is.
Yeah, and how much is and so I don't think the redeeming a ticket is a very complicated transaction, and it's pretty static, right? It doesn't have to do a whole lot of math on variables that you don't know what the variable is, right? We pretty much know what the variables are beforehand, so you could say, well, this transaction's always going to cost roughly 200,000 gas. It'll be more or less depending on some certain external factors, but it'll be roughly 200,000. So we'll set our gas limit to 300,000 so that like if we hit 300,000, it's like, okay, you're stuck in a loop, right? And we don't want to drain your wallet. So, but on L2, it's like different. So I don't think the developers have looked into that.
Yeah, and again, this is I don't usually pay that much attention. In fact, occasionally I'll just happen to like look at one if I'm just scrolling through my Arbiscan, and I don't even know, maybe looked this morning and I was like, $1.26, that's like seems a lot more than normal. And I looked and every other one was like between 20 and 30 cents. And I was like, what's it happens once in a while, not a big deal. If it was something that happened all the time, I was thinking about the people that run like those low face values, that would really start to be something they might want to think about. But it doesn't seem like it's very common. I mean, I couldn't find any other transactions that were that high for me, so I went through a decent amount. So
I'm
I
gonna
think it was
look
just a
on mine
fluke
too.
thing.
That's really interesting. 0.01. So on your transaction fee, do you know what the actual fee was in ETH?
Yeah, let me look.
Is it more than
make sure I'm saying
0.001?
On this one here, it was 0.007.
Oh wow, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. This one was like way out of whack compared to like every other transaction I've had.
I'm just
'Cause again,
looking.
the gas limit was like, I mean, 3 times higher than what's normally a high one. I mean, a lot of times I see them in like the 100,000. I mean, in the million way range.
Yeah, so
I'm assuming that's why.
all my ticket redeemings, yeah,
They're usually
all,
like you said,
yeah.
0.0001. This is the first. I mean, this was like a whoa.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
looking
it's
back
still
through.
$1, but if that would have been like layer one, would that it would cost me $1,000 or something like that,
Yeah, I don't have any of those. So that is a weird anomaly. I don't know. I haven't. My node has not seen that. So
Yeah, I mean, like I'm looking at this. I just picked a random one here. It was 18 cents, and it was
it's a bit of a red
0.00010.
flag, though. It's kind of. I mean, this is why we have limits in place, right? Because who knows what happened, right? It could have been something totally external, which I don't know. But I don't know what externally would affect a redeeming of a ticket.
Well, like you were saying, if it happens to be a block that's not full, then you're saying that you think that can trigger it to cost more.
I don't know. That's my assumption. I don't know if that's actually
Right.
true, though. Well, that could be true, but at the same time,
there's a lot of transactions happening on Arbitrum. Why would it force it through so quick and not just wait for a little?
I'm looking at my transaction fees on Arbitrum for my dummy node that redeems all my tickets, and like they never my reward calls never once go over 0.0 like. So it's 0.00022, right? Like they never go above that and that's redeeming tickets since Arbitrum started. So like,
no, I mean I'm same. I mean basically that's the same situation, and I don't even know what. Maybe even take a look this morning, or else I would have, never even picked up on it. But yeah, I mean
the thing is,
okay,
my
yeah,
gas limit is 1 million on my redeeming ticket. My gas limit is 1 million.
So that was my question. Is like, what changes
Oh,
the gas limit thing?
Yeah, so my gas limit. Hold on, so that one was 1 million.
I mean, even here where I have it, it's 2 million, or it's like 2.5 million. It's still 38 cents.
Does the gas limit change, or is it static?
No, it changes. I mean,
Oh, it does change.
On all mine, it's changed.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting. So your node is adjusting its gas limit based on variables it's seeing,
which we don't know what those are. Or various. I forgot what you said. What did Various had a comment on it? What did you say?
I think I had the same assumptions as Titan regarding how many other transactions are in your batch and how many are in the block. And
I see quite a few that are like 2 million here now that I'm just like scrolling through my redeems. But I also see a lot that are in the million range, and then that one was just like super high compared to.
And let me guess, it used up roughly 80%, 90% of the gas.
Yeah, they're usually like 88% in that range.
So what's happening is the node is saying we're gonna leave a buffer of around 15%, 10 or 15% gas limit based on what we calculate. So it means that your node accurately calculated how much gas it should use. And because when it hit the chain, that's actually how much it did use. It left that buffer. So that So that would mean that your node accurately calculated some anomaly that happened during that time and said, this transaction will not go unless you have 8 million gas. and it sent it off. So I would be curious if you looked up that block on RBScan and checked to see the congestion or something about that block that was different.
Yeah.
If you want to share the
that,
transaction
but yeah.
hash, I can
Yeah,
look into.
sure.
I'd like to look into it
I'm sure.
because it's really interesting.
I will pop it into the chat.
Because maybe I don't know. I'd have to look into how our
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked into it either. I mean, it's definitely now that we're talking about it, it's more interesting to me than it was when I just saw it. I happened to catch it, but
yeah, look at that. Yeah, 7 million. Wait, gas limit. Yeah, your gas limit was 80. Yeah, so it used 85%. So it accurately
yeah, like you said,
calculated.
yeah, right.
So what block was this?
I'm looking at the block now, but I don't know how to
Transaction
make any
batch
sense of what I'm looking at.
index. There's 824 transactions in this block.
Where do you see that?
You have to click on the transaction batch index.
Transaction batch index.
And if I look at one of my redeeming reward calls that looks normal, it has 1,159. Okay, so that's not that far off. L1 block. Okay, let's look at the L1 block now. L1 block. Gas price 57. Gas price 16. Oh, there you go.
So the gas was high on L1 and that affected it too?
The L1 transaction fee was like 0.1 ether. It was $178 divided by 800 transactions. So here you go. So you can do the math. So divide $178 by 824 should give you your transactions.
I get 0.216. Is that what you said to do?
Hold on.
178 by 824 or the other way around?
Divided by, hold on, I probably got it backwards. It's $4. No, wait. Hold on. Okay. So the cost was $179 divided by 824 people. So it would have been 21 cents. It's okay. I don't know how you paid $1. It doesn't make any sense.
I got ripped off.
I think it
and that's usually
depends
what they are.
on
Yeah.
how complex
Sorry.
your transaction was. So maybe all the other transactions in that batch were much simpler.
simple.
So they adjusted
Right.
the gas usage accordingly so that you have to pay more because your transaction included more contract executions.
Right. So it was just a bad luck between the L1 price and a low number of transactions in the actual L2 transaction.
800. Okay, so here's another block with 830 transactions. So this one has roughly the equivalent to what you had.
Close enough, yeah.
And, well, no, but it spent $107. So, like, I don't know, man.
I guess it depends what other types of transactions are in that block with you. I saw like other ones that happened right around the same time as me, and none of them were high either. So it wasn't like just a straight L1 price thing. But
I just don't understand how your gas limit went up that much. It doesn't make any sense.
Because like you said, it knew it because it made it adjusted for that. So
the only thing I
Livepeer
can think
made
of,
that
the only thing that I can think of is if you won a ticket against someone who's not Livepeer Inc. Because I can look that up too. So where is your transaction? Because there are many gas optimization things you can put into calling contracts. And I feel like ticket sender. No, that's Livepeer Inc.
Yep.
There
aren't many broadcasters on there, especially not that pay out at the full value price. So pretty safe assumption, but yeah, I see it's from
data recipient bytes hash brown signature. Transaction type EIP 1559.
Yep, I looked at all that, all the same.
Dude, your base
weird one, right?
Way, yeah. Like I don't understand why it
weird that I even looked on top of it. You know, I mean, I don't remember ever checking that stuff. So just strange.
Winning ticket transfer address, advanced transaction poster fee, network fee, L1 gas used, L2 gas used. Oh, whoa, hold on. L1 gas used. Oh, that's interesting. It tells you how much of the gas you use in this transaction on each L1 and L2. I didn't see that before. So if you go to the transaction under overview, this is advanced TX info.
Oh, okay.
And it tells you how much gas you used on layer 1 and layer 2.
So most of that was on L1. Wow.
Yeah. So
I gotta pull up another one just to see what does it look like. Advanced. So like on a normal transaction for me, I'm using this is actually even a higher one than normal, but like 1.3 million on a, they use like a 21-cent transaction. And on this one here, I was using
Wait, how do we use layer 1 gas? Oh, I guess we do.
I have no idea how this stuff works.
Okay, for some reason it was your layer 1 gas that was really high, which is weird because again, why would you use more gas on layer 1? What's causing that? It's no different than all your other reward calls.
I have no idea.
Okay, well, there you go. You got wrecked. That's what happened.
Yeah, well, it happens.
You got wrecked on 45 cents. No, $1.
I'm glad it was on layer 2.
Yeah. No, it's technically layer 1.
Well, it was layer 1, but I'm glad it wasn't back in those days where like a regular redeeming a ticket could cost $100 on L1. And it did end up costing me like $1,000 or something like that, or more.
So I don't know what happened there. Just not a clue.
From now on, I will check every once in a while to see if I see another anomaly. But I mean, going back through my history, I don't see anything else like that. So I don't know if you're just going to write this one off for now.
You got the ARB tax. Some rogue guy decided he could take off, 50 cents on every 1,000th transaction, and he can retire the rest of his life.
Right.
So we pay the ARB tax, dude.
Part of the SVB bailout.
Oh, dude.
I see Vires posted a little FAQ here.
Oh,
I posted a rational explanation as well.
Twilight Zone. I like it.
I think the L1 gas use that you see in the advanced transaction info is just a cost basically to publish the data to the L1 chain, which was quite high at that time. And so that was the cost to publish it, and then that cost gets split by all transactions, and probably according to the complexity of the transactions within the block. So that a more complex transaction has to pay a bigger share of that L1 cost. So basically, maybe within your block or batch, there were just simple transfers or simple swaps, and you are one of the more complex ones, and therefore you had to pay more of that L1 fee.
It makes sense, and we've probably spent more time than we need to on something that was, cost me an extra $1.20. So, but I appreciate you guys looking into it.
Now these are really good learning opportunities because the more familiar you are, like the more you become familiar, the more you can dive into these and learn something new, right? So it's like I'm still like I've learned about gas in 2017, my first Ethereum transaction. I'm still learning about gas. Like this is 2023, and I'm still like, wait, okay, gas. Okay, what are these? How does it all work, right? And how does it work going forward as we try to mitigate and deal with gas, right? Like, it's really interesting topic to begin with, I think, at least.
It is. I just didn't. I felt like if there's other topics, I didn't want to like take up too much time over $1. But you do actually bring up a really good point about understanding it, and if prices do start going up, this could become an issue down the road that we may want to put in a way to, because again, Livepeer was able to figure out that the limit was higher, so we maybe want to switch to or add something like that in to be able to limit that. But at prices the way they are today, I don't think it's a high priority, but it's something to keep an eye on.
Yes, well, it's easy to say that now, but when you deal with deflationary or at least hard money, and I'm using quotes, you every ETH you make now is a much more in the future, and I learned that from Bitcoin. When you deal,
that's a good point.
Like I just like it was like I remember buying half a Bitcoin, and it was like change. Like it was like I'll buy a flight with a couple of Bitcoin. Like or I'll pick some Bitcoin up here. We'll throw it on a casino, and we'll do like a bunch of Bitcoin over and now it's just like, oh man, you spent how much? Like, oh, I have 0.01 Bitcoin. It's like, nice, man. Like and the other day, like, I was listening to an angel pitch, and they wanted to build out like it wasn't too big. It was like a $2 million Bitcoin mining facility. And I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, yeah, we have like 10 Bitcoin on the book. So like we got some starting capital. And I was like, oh man, like 10 Bitcoin on the books. Like imagine saying that when I first got into Bitcoin. Like it's just like bananas.
Hey,
Right?
come on, the famous story of the 10,000 Bitcoin for what, 2 pizzas
Most
or something
expensive
like that?
pizza.
No, but and so what I'm seeing, and even volumes on exchanges, like what I'm realizing is volumes aren't going up. The value of the volume is going up, but like it's so
Right. No, that makes
so like point. Every 0.012 ETH you get, like just mentally go ahead and times that by 10, because that could be the future value, and you're gonna look back and be like, yeah, that $1 transaction, like, yeah, that was like could have been a $10, in the future, $100. What does that mean, right? So I don't know. I just don't poo-poo, and I'm not. I know. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
I get it.
So no. This is why this stuff is interesting, because if you just go ahead, you're gonna go, oh, yeah. Because I wish I paid attention to it more back in the day. That's all. So now I'm trying not to make the same mistake.
Sounds good.
Because dust matters.
I learned a lot today. So I mean, it was interesting stuff. It's just funny that as we talk about it now, we're talking about $1, but aside from that, it was still a lot of good learning, and you also bring up an interesting point about in the future what is that dollar worth, and when you multiply that out by how many tickets you win, it's could be a significant numbers one day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there you go. Okay. I have a question, and it's about disk space. So yeah, I'm running. This is actually the ETH miner question. So this is pointed towards maybe Mike Zuper and Vires. Could look for some help. So yeah, I'm running Aragon, and I was running a 2 terabyte SSD, and my Aragon has now filled that up, and so it shut down my entire ETH miner. So I'm like wondering, how should I add more SSD space and try, or should I replace the SSD with a bigger one? or should I just ditch Aragon? Is Geth lighter or smaller? Like what should I do?
Well, do you have, is it one disk drive for everything?
Yeah, I have one NEMV in there.
Well, what the documentation says is the the historical transaction data is in a separate folder, and you could actually mount that folder with like some regular, SSD storage or even, block storage because those transactions don't get used, but they do fill up your SSD. So the easy thing might just be to mount that the historical transactions folder on a separate drive with more space, but maybe not as performant.
Ooh. So that would mean I would have to partition a second hard drive into Ubuntu. Is that right?
Yeah, if you have a separate disk, like say you can get some cheap storage, like a solid state drive, you can get like 6 terabytes of solid state versus like NVMe, right? Because that's more expensive. So you can, or even, I don't think regular block store hard drive storage works, but I think just slower SSD storage works. But you can move all of those transactions. And again, I bet you if you look at the volume, the lion's share of the space is going to be stored in those historical transaction folders.
I think it grows by 40 gigabytes a week.
Yeah, some insane number.
So I clearly did not.
Geth's not better, by the way. Geth is more. It's not less. Aragon is actually optimized for that.
Yeah,
But go ahead, Barry. You're gonna say something.
I think Geth is better in that department. I think it uses more in the initial sync, but afterwards it grows way less. I think it's around like 15 gigabyte per week.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Hold on, maybe I got that wrong. Maybe I meant 14, not 40. There we go.
I remember reading something like 14 or 15 for Aragon, but I don't remember exactly though.
I don't know.
It really depends.
The point is
on the client. Sorry.
The point is, I have a 2 terabyte SSD, and it's just out. I don't think it would fit Geth either.
No.
So, I guess going forward, either way, I'm gonna have to deal with space. But like Aragon seems fine. Like I guess I could resync to Geth, but like Aragon has been fine with. It's been working right up until it hit 100% disk storage space, right? So
that folder, mounting a separate folder for those historical transactions would be the easiest way to get you out of it, and it'll give you the ability to grow that volume, that second volume, because as the transactions get pruned and compressed, they're going to get moved off of the main, tips of the chain, and they'll move out. And then once they're out there, they won't be queried as often. So I feel like that at least that's the way I read in the documentation. And
are you talking about
that was my strategy.
Which documentation for what client?
Aragon.
Oh, okay,
Aragon
great.
client. If you look, it says when you sync the chain, here's the folders that it's going to create, and it breaks down all folders. And then the one folder is like historical transactions. And it says in the docs that if you take that folder and mount a slower, less performant drive for that folder, you are able to, allow that to grow at a lower cost than trying to keep your high performant NVMe running the whole thing on that drive. So that's at least my recommendation to you.
Right. Which is nice because then I don't have to throw away my good NVMe drive. I'm like, wait, like I don't want to replace it with like a 4 terabyte and like spend $500, and then I'm just gonna run into the same problem in like a
year from now. Exactly. So this way, you may still need to replace that 2 terabyte NVMe with the main chain, but for now it gives you cheaper growth because you can continue to expand that second volume as it grows significantly faster than the main, chain. So, get you back up and running, and it gives you some growth. And if you need to swap out another 2 terabyte for 5, hopefully your validation rewards are coming in nice.
Yeah. How expensive are, you said an SS? I'm looking at SSDs and like SATA.
They're super cheap. Yeah, they're super cheap.
Yeah, because I found like a. How big would you recommend then? Could I get like a 10 terabyte one, or is that not?
Yeah, you probably could. Yeah, I don't know if it go 10 terabyte on one drive, but yeah, you probably could. I haven't looked at that in a while, but you could get, 6, 8, 10 terabytes on your SSD, and then those historical transactions have plenty of room to grow.
Because I'm looking at them.
Or if they're, how much are they?
I don't know. I'm just on Amazon, but they seem like
Yeah,
like four like a 6 terabyte one seems like, or 8 terabytes is like $800.
Oh, really? Geez, I didn't know they were that expensive.
I think it depends how old you want to go with them. Like I'm seeing a Samsung 870 SSD 8 terabytes for 500 on
Yeah,
new.
it's IOPS. It's IOPS. When you look at those things, you want to look at the IOPS. That's going to be the driving factor. But in this case, you don't need anything speedy, right? The NVMe is where the speed comes in, and that's what
if
matters.
it's
But those
if it's a lot
historicals,
less
it doesn't.
expensive too for smaller ones, you can get a couple small ones and just stripe them together.
Yeah, that's true too.
Okay, so this is my question.
And you'll get more performance.
What does that mean?
What he's saying is that you can get like one drive is one set of performance, but if you take like 4 slower drives that are less expensive combined as one disk drive, you could set it up so that all 4 act as one drive, and you would get more performance out of the 4 combined than you would by a single fast drive.
You'd have to set up RAID for that, right?
Yeah,
You
it's
could do
more
a software
difficult.
RAID though.
What's a RAID?
Hardware RAID. Yeah.
It's a redundant array of inexpensive disks.
That's not what it stands for, but that sounds
No,
awesome.
it is. It is, isn't it?
Inexpensive disks. That's what the stands for.
Yeah, look it up.
I learned something. I didn't think that's what it was.
RAID.
Put it this way,
that.
Titan. Again, it's a way to
a
make
redundant
sure
array of inexpensive disks.
No, it's independent.
Go ahead,
disks.
Pop. Independent. There you go.
Oh,
All right. I was
wait.
gonna say, I've never heard of inexpensive.
Sir, Wikipedia says it's either or. It's redundant.
I don't believe it.
It says RAID, redundant array of inexpensive.
I wouldn't trust Wikipedia, but
or independent.
All right.
Independent
Computer
makes
science
more
would not
sense.
use inexpensive. Yeah, computer science would not use inexpensive. But anyway,
Independent
Wikipedia
makes more sense. But that's just the way I remember it from way back in the day when I first heard that term. I was like, that sounds cool.
In a Wikipedia, it actually starts with a redundant array of inexpensive, and then it says or redundant array of independent disks. So the slot 0 is inexpensive. So there you go.
All right.
You have access.
So I wasn't just talking out my ass. I mean, that is something.
Titan, are you using a GUI with Ubuntu, or are you just going through the terminal?
Just terminal.
Okay. Yeah, definitely look at some tutorials when like setting up partitions and stuff, because you can break things with
you can break things.
doing disk things in the terminal in Ubuntu. Yeah, if you're not careful, like you can really
wipe your OS.
storage.
Yes, you can wipe your OS.
Well, I'm not too worried about wiping my OS. Like, if I started from scratch again, I'd be like, okay, just start from scratch. Because I was even to add, just to, yeah. My ETH miner has been down for 2 days now, and I'm just like, okay,
oh jeez.
All right, it's gonna be down until I fix this. So it's gonna be down for like a week or two. So it's whatever.
Get one drive that has 6 terabytes. Get your stuff back online. Talk about RAID another day. Don't let that thing sit down.
My ETH miner's down because I can't get an array of inexpensive disks going.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I could help you with that kind of stuff, but that's for now. You have an outage. Get your stuff back online, and we can talk RAID.
Yeah. Plus, I think 4 terabytes or 6 or 8 will be fine in a single disk, and I can just throw.
Yeah. Absolutely. Get that stuff. Get off. Right. But at the same time, though, the other point is, if you have a RAID setup, multi-disk setup in your operating system, that one NVMe you had that went down, if you had multiple NVMEs, you wouldn't have taken an outage then. So, there's value in having a RAID controller when a single device could be a point of failure that takes your environment down. And if you don't want outages and you have a low tolerance for that stuff or expensive, right? Then you want to look at redundancy for your network card. Because if your network card goes, what happens, right? Now you're down again.
I got a pretty high tolerance. Like,
But
I'm not
I know you do. I know you do. I'm not saying you don't, but I'm just saying is when you start looking at I'm running an operation, you start at the hobbyist and then you move up that scalability stack, and redundancies at all these levels start to play a factor. So, but I know where you are and you're good, man. So get that drive up, try to get RAID when you can, but I wouldn't, don't prolong your outage.
Yeah, there we go. All right, Amazon Prime, here we go. Buy that
Boom,
stuff.
baby, button. Yo, hold on. For key. No, just joking.
Yeah, dude. Cool. Okay. And I gotta resync Aragon after I do that, I think. So
it'll come up, yeah, it'll be missing, the head state will be damaged, and then you'll have to catch up again. So, and you know how that 7 cycles of iterations go, man. That thing takes so long.
yeah, it's gonna take 3 days to sync. So like I'd rather just set it up right.
Get it right, yep.
Yeah.
I've posted some data regarding the hardware usage of different clients in the chat. I'm not sure how up to date there are, but just check out different clients as well, because it really varies by quite a lot which client you're using. And sometimes instead of trying to catch up like 2 or 3 days, it might actually be faster to just do a full resync.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
Geth uses 100 to 400% of CPU.
Yeah, Geth is
Doesn't
one
doesn't that depend a lot on what CPU is one core? No, do they give you any kind of idea of what?
Oh, this is actually what I've been looking for. Thank you, Vires. I've been trying to find this forever. Yeah, the differences between okay. So,
yep.
And I see that Aragon's more updated in time date. Yeah, so you got more. They seem pretty comparable. Yeah, Aragon will have a full US. Will use all the available RAM. Use during sync may run out of memory. Yeah, because I'm running 64 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, I think 32 is the minimum. So if you got 64, you're not gonna have that problem.
Yeah, no, I got a good machine. I got all brand new parts for this. Like it's got like great CPU. It's got everything in it. Yeah, so it was running really smooth until it just filled up the SSD. So I was like, oh, just have to grab a different one. And the thing is, I'm running the consensus, execution, and beacon client all on the same NVMe.
So was I. I was running the same stuff. I got booted off Hetzner for doing that.
Is that a cloud provider?
Yeah, Hetzner is the European like big boy, and they had a hard stance against that kind of stuff, and I started getting like network abuse warnings in my email, and the next thing you know, they shut down all my nodes, and I went and I basically got a refund for all the money I spent there and got out of it. But it was just one of those little eye openers when you see, like I had it before, and I had Geth nodes running out there. They didn't have a problem, but recently they've come down with a crack on that kind of stuff, and they booted me off. So
Geth only takes 4.5 hours to sync.
The light client.
Yeah, but I read that if you want a full client, which is what you need for validating, right?
Yes, you cannot run. I mean, I think the light client concept is, I forget what they did with that. But yeah, you can't run any of that with
phones and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just like, if you just need the tips of the chain and you don't really want like searching and history, but if you're validating, you need all of it.
Wait, but it says right here, okay, consensus execution clients. But this is for mining. Vires, does yours only take 4.5 hours to sync the initial time?
No.
I don't think it's that low, but it doesn't. I think it takes like half a day nowadays because, I I think they have like a new sync method they recently put out, so
Geth does.
it really is quite fast. So it's definitely less than a day. Last time I tried.
The Geth client is less than a day to sync now.
Yeah, for a full node.
Wow,
And it
I
only
did not
uses
know
half
that.
the amount of the database is only half the size. Too. What
No,
is the advantage to Aragon? I mean, what
No,
do you guys use
that's
in
just
Aragon?
look at the dates though. June compared to October. Oh wait, that's only.
They're both the same year though.
Yeah, well, it's 12 gigabytes a week, 18. Aragon, I don't know. It's just different. I was just switching clients because everyone uses Geth, and I wanted to contribute to client diversity.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. But the main reason I chose it was I was reading on their documentation as it relates to the growth of the database and the syncing time that it was supposed to be superior. But if this article is arguing otherwise, I'm going to have to check out the new Geth client, see what's going on there.
It seems
I'm
like
Is
using
that even the current
Isu.
Geth client? I mean, this is from it's a year old almost. No.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not sure how
that
up to
won't be
date it
right
is.
there. Yeah, that won't be right if it's a year old because the merge happened after that.
It's not really a year old. It was just from last year. So really,
Yeah, but if it was after the merge in September or before the merge, it's invalid, right?
That's a question for Vires.
I'll take a look at it. I'm curious. I've been tracking that kind of stuff too. I have some notes I saved, so I'll see if I can get to the bottom.
I don't know. Do I just?
I'm
switch
still
to
on the Infura teat. My ARB node still using Infura. I can't get off until I can get a suitable client running, and as of now, I have yet to get one working. I mean, I can, but I want to run it in VPS.
Client?
Well, I want to run it in VPS out in the cloud with the rest of my fleet. I don't want to have to host it or provision hardware or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, the only reason I'm doing this is because I just want to contribute to the decentralization of Ethereum, right? Like I want to run a full execution consensus client and like have it like out of the cloud, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Yeah,
So-
I'm with you. The problem for me is I get 20 megabit upload on my ISP and I can't fix that. I can't change that. So I'm with you too, but I can't. I wish I could.
Right. Yeah, I got 1.5 up and down here, so.
Thank you. You want to rub it in here? Kick me one more time, please. Tell me how much you gotta get.
I'll keep my mouth shut.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we don't even want to hear you,
Papa Bear,
You
get
just
out
gotta
of town.
upgrade. He just got to upgrade. Don't even talk about yours. You're gonna make us all sad.
What is he at now? What are you at, Papa Bear?
I don't want to say. I don't want to get in trouble for anyone. I don't want to get shit from anyone
He
else.
asked now. You must answer.
I think it's, what is it? Did I hear it was 10 or something?
Got 5.
5.
Only 5. Only 5 each way.
It's about half as good as I thought you were at.
You do the speed test and you gotta like increase the
internal
number.
networks running at 10, but that's the part you don't factor in is most machines can't handle. It takes a lot of work to get the internal network to be able to even handle a 5 gigabit connection.
If
you want 5 gigabits on a single machine.
If you redid the speed test on my pool, you'd probably be the only one with the lightning fast NFT. Nobody in my pool has gotten over a gigabyte yet.
I don't know. I always did bad on your speed test, even when I had a gigabit, though. It would show me as like having 300, megabits.
Yeah, well,
that's, hey, you got 5 times that. You should be the king now.
You can blame speedtest.net for being biased. Because
I'm joining your pool just to get the NFT for next year.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to see if you actually got it though, because I don't know if speed test will actually give you that 5, or even, all you have to do is clear 1. So we'll see if you do.
If I clear 1, I'm good. Well, all right. We'll see. Maybe if I have some time this afternoon, I'll
get the you'll be the 1-in-1 owner. I can't get it. I can't beat it. So you'll be the only owner of that NFT.
But then that's created more work for Chase to have to make that thing for next year. I don't want to do that.
He's gonna what?
That's going to create more work, for Chase Media to have to make an NFT just for that one, that extra NFT for next year.
What, for a higher
it's going to be like one that. Yeah, well, did you say I win an NFT for that?
Yeah, well, it's a
I'm just messing around.
ERC 1155, so everyone gets a copy of it that can beat it. It's like a unlimited minting one.
No, I was just saying someone has to create the NFT though. So I was like,
No, it's already created. He has an NFT ranking.
oh, you already have it made?
Yeah, it's already there.
I didn't even. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
if
getting late. It's a long call, and I was on an hour one before this. So sorry.
Right
I'm
out
just
the oven, dude.
fading.
you probably haven't seen my my pool dashboard in a while.
I haven't. I'll have to take a look. What? So all that stuff's on your dashboard now?
Yeah. Go check it out.
Oh man.
Yeah, I've been expanding it. So it's got some cool new features. So we'll see. Yeah. There we go. Cool. Okay.
Jeez,
Let's see.
Oh whoa.
What else we got?
Damn. We got work to do over there on Video Miner to make ours look cool.
Yeah. I've been adding. Rather than working on the actual protocol, I've just been making fun things.
Yeah, put the pressure on them tight and make sure to keep all them pools honest.
Yeah. You guys are actually going for like performance. I'm just going for cool NFTs. See how that goes.
Hey, everyone's got their angle, man. Let's rock it.
Yeah.
You have a calculator? Holy crap!
Yeah.
That's like that's the number one question. Do you have a calculator? I'm like, no, man. Calculator for Livepeer?
Yeah. No, I was like,
Oh, really? People are asking for that?
yeah, I made
People
a
ask for that.
calculator.
Like, I mean, just for Livepeer. I have 20 GPUs, and I got how much could I make a day?
I see.
I have 20 3070s. How much am I going to make a day on live? When I start my orchestrator?
About $19 if you're lucky.
Yeah, well, my calculator's not great because it assumes that you're getting like utilization at least, and then it's like, wait, can I actually make this much? And I'm like, oh, wait, like I should probably fix
Put a
this
big
calculator.
asterisk. You gotta put a big asterisk at the top of that thing.
There's a small
enhance
asterisk
it.
at the bottom,
Theoretical. Oh yeah, I see it at the bottom. Disclaimer. Yeah,
but I don't know if people read
that.
that.
You might need to move that to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
okay, so what else should we cover? I think that was it. We covered just about everyone's topics. Interptr is back, but yeah, we'll kind of skipped his topic. He had to go.
You guys have been on for a long time, so I don't expect anyone to stick around anymore. I was very surprised.
One last topic was what Chase Media brought up, which is kind of the test streams only in New York and LA and Chicago. Chase, are you with us? Do you want to explain what you're seeing?
I think we made her pass out. Yeah.
Probably just like whatever. No, so yeah, I don't know what it is. If you guys look at my dashboard, I'm dead in the water in like EU and North America. Like it's just completely dead.
So, your dashboard's down, isn't it? Are you talking about your scores on the test streams, or are you talking about your actual?
My dashboard's up again. My Grafana.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
How can your test streams be bad though? Like I don't understand.
The test streams. No, the test streams are great. I'm just not getting any traffic.
Do you have a link to your Grafana? Because I'm getting HTTP requests.
Oh, yeah. I made it secure, so it's HTTPS now.
Oh, well, I could probably fix that on my own then.
Yeah, you just gotta add the S. I put it in the description there. Yeah,
you had a pretty good streak of tickets there for a while.
Like Singapore is my number one. Like I get more tickets in Singapore than every other node combined.
That's crazy. What?
You and Night Node.
Except for Singapore. Singapore is my second largest. Like.
Wow.
You said Singapore the first time, so
for Sao Paulo, yeah. Like
Sao Paulo. I don't think I hit a ticket yet from there.
I got more tickets in Sao Paulo than New York.
Holy.
Like, so I just don't understand. Like, even my Singapore node was peaking around 22 sessions, like almost 30 sessions. Like,
what?
Yeah. What
There's been a lot of traffic there.
Yeah, sorry guys. What I noticed about Singapore now, basically you get cool data and you're maxing out on your sessions, but it still recovers after that and you still get the tickets. I noticed that as well.
You get what
Yeah,
in
because
Singapore?
the ticket comes in. He says your tickets come in, but the stream will throw in a CUDA error and it'll blow up, but you'll still get the ticket.
Yeah.
Not
Is
on
your
That's
mine.
basically
let's
what's
see.
happening there.
Are you getting sticky streams? Let's see. Or are they?
Not in the last. Let's see. If you go back a bit, hold on, Singapore.
Yeah, I've seen real choppy Singapore in my stuff. I get very low usage and it's very choppy.
Yeah, you can see. Yeah, if you're looking on my dashboard, go about what 2 weeks or 30 days, and you're gonna see a massive spikes.
Is there actual work in Singapore now? Is that why you
Yeah.
see these massive spikes?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Ben
and that-
gets sticky streams there. Ben's usually does pretty well there. I get a lot of just really short little bursts.
I don't know.
I'll get like it'll like max out and then they all just drop off, max out and drop off, max out and drop off.
I'm just stunned. Singapore so as long as I've been here has been like the worst. I mean, I know you get tickets. I know you get tickets there, but I know it was like in terms of workload, it was like one of the worst. And you're saying it's massively increased recently?
Yeah, well, but it's completely inverse of how like I was getting all the streams from New York, and then and nowhere else. Like I was only getting New York, and then all of a sudden now it's like Singapore and Sao Paulo. Like it's like something weird. Like I can't tell if it's on my end or Livepeer's end or like I don't know what's going on because
I do see a lot of streams from those two regions that are like that look like they're Livepeer tests of like 10 segments, 16 segments, like some of those still those 147 segment ones. So I don't know if they're trying to do some capacity testing kind of thing to just see like what kind of capacities there, and they're sending out a lot of short little segments. I mean, if you're getting long extended stuff, that's different, but I do see a lot of like short streams that aren't like being dropped from like it's not like the machine can't keep up. It's just like they just I mean, there's too many of them that are only going like 10 or 16 segments, like evenly. I mean, right on the number. So I think Livepeer is probably doing some testing there in those regions. That's just my guess. Unless there's some kind of like weird NFT thing that they're just making a bunch of in those areas. I don't know. But I see a lot of those coming through.
Yeah, I don't know. I basically am not seeing any streams anymore.
I keep forgetting to look at your other regions because I keep going there and just seeing your.
Yeah, my motherboard crashed on my main PC, so like I had to change it my Grafana onto like onto just like my VPS. So actually, Papa Bear, if you could help me fix my Grafana, the scores aren't working. They just say NA.
Scores aren't.
You scroll down.
Scores for all
the regions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it, but that's the copy. I copy pasted that one that you gave to me like last year.
Wow. I probably still have, but you've updated it now because you've got other regions on there, huh? I was gonna say I would still have that original one to work off of.
But it's weird. It seems right.
I get the same thing. I get like a bunch of NANs for my like region scores and stuff, and it's been like that for a while. I don't know what caused it. And I've like completely changed Grafana servers during that time as well, and it still just shows up as NAN for a lot of the like latency scores and things.
I can't tell if it's a Grafana update or a Ethereum update. Or sorry, or a Livepeer update.
Prometheus. This seems like it would be a Prometheus issue. That it's not pulling the data.
No, because it pulls the data. If you just calculate it differently, like instead of doing mean, you do max or min, it calculates it. Like it calculates, like if you just do min, it tells you what the low number is, and if you do max, it tells you what the high number is. But if you try to do mean, it just goes NA.
I think there was something that Speedy uncovered when he did his Loki grant that he found that the scrape intervals have to be the same across all your nodes for it to not have some of these discrepancies. I can't remember exactly what it was he said, but what you guys are saying sounds eerily similar to something he saw where different scrape targets or scrape intervals or something along those lines would cause some of these discrepancies in the actual data. I'll have to wait till he comes into the next call to ask him again.
Yeah, if it can't get a total
But-
number of
But back to the
you
original.
have to divide by 0, it's not a number.
That's right.
Back to your original question, Titan. Yeah, that traffic does seem extremely odd in New York and London and LA's been kind of hit or miss, but like that's very your number. Yeah, it seems extremely low session counts for New York and especially New York.
Did
Yeah.
they ever finish their rollout of all those updates they were doing across all
I have-
regions? Is that all done?
That's a good question, but I mean, I definitely am getting a lot more work than I mean, this is you're getting like
Yeah.
2 little spikes
Titan and
every
I
here
have
and there.
Titan and I have pretty close to the same stake, and most of my traffic comes through New York. So, I mean, I have sessions right there right now. So,
Yeah.
there's
Weird.
definitely traffic there.
He also has a Midwest node, so I mean, there's
True.
those, I mean,
No, but
still,
Might steal some.
But still,
I
North
currently-
America is dead. Like New York, if you combine New York, LA, Chicago, like is dead. Like
well, at least Chicago, you have like something happening in Chicago. I mean,
I think I got one stream. Oh no, wait.
Yeah, actually, yeah, no. Blowing your thing up now too, because they're so tiny. I see. Like, yeah, I mean, your average like one session over the last.
Like if you
24
saw it
hours,
last
and then-
month, I was sitting around, averaging 5, 10.
Well,
New
you know
York.
what? And this is running on AWS, right? You're using the AWS.
Yeah.
And so am I.
I'm telling you, I had that weird thing that I mentioned where I had something weird happening where and again, I don't know. This is only for my test streams, but my New York test streams were going to LA and my LA ones were going to New York. I have no idea what caused that. Because the regular streams were still going to the right place. But I don't know if AWS is having some kind of weird issue with routing stuff to the wrong place, and then that would, maybe you're getting, you're not being able to keep up in real time if the streams are going to the wrong regions. You might want to try the router on
Yeah,
your
might want to try
node,
the router again.
yeah.
Prod
Yeah.
router, let's go. Yeah, but
because it is odd.
Yeah, if I can get the router working, then I'd love to just switch to it.
The easy test would be to disable traffic across your nodes except for your New York region and see if you can start getting traffic, and then start enabling one by one until you see where it breaks down.
Yeah.
Send everything to New York.
But
then
that's
add
how
region
Chase
by region
but that's how Chase Media is set up. She only has one node, but it's dead too. And that's a
She's having
perfectly
the same thing.
Oh wow.
This is what I mean. Like,
crazy.
she has the exact same thing, and she's completely independent. And at the exact same time I lost all North American work, she did too. But we're not connected at all. Like, she has her own machine. She has
wow.
It doesn't do any of the GeoDNS. It doesn't do any of this stuff. It's a very simple setup, and it's not the same time frame that all my streams shifted to Sin and Sao is the same time that she stopped getting streams here, which would mean Livepeer Inc. did something.
Have you
Well,
checked
at least a
the
single IP.
system usage and disk space usage of those orchestrators?
From the standalone orchestrators, they're pretty normal. They're pretty low, like very low.
Yeah, because what happened for me was I was enabling like those per stream metrics, and since I was running Grafana and Prometheus on the same machine, it basically like crashed. I mean, it didn't crash. It just like
Overloaded?
filled out the system resources that much that I wasn't getting any more good work.
Yeah, no, I'm not. It's not. They're just running standalone O's, and so the O's look fine. They're not using over. The usage isn't looking abnormal. But my test streams come back,
And it would be
great.
it would be too weird that you guys would both. It would be too weird that you guys both also ran into system resource issues at the same time. Like,
Yeah,
running different
yeah.
machines.
Like I don't know. Like it was just kind of like weird, and like yeah, it's too much of a coincidence that her node is experiencing something similar. Where because hers are weird. Like she goes, it's in the same Grafana dashboard. You can look at hers. If you look at hers, it like spikes to 6 randomly, and then like sits at 0.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong.
Are there any errors in your logs?
No, like it's constantly spiking to 5 and then 0, 5 0, 5 0, 5 0. Yeah, look at her. Like look at Chase Media's logs. Like they're just messed.
That's
Yeah,
how
I'm
my
looking at it right now.
Singapore node is. My Singapore node is just like that. It go to 5 to 0, 5 to 0, 5 to 0, and just all day long, choppy as hell.
6 0. Like these. She used to get regular normal streams, but let's see, last 7 days. Yeah, last 7 days has been like this.
And where's the orc located? Is it out of your place?
Yeah, just outside Vancouver.
Something must be wrong on Livepeer side. It's got to be. I don't know what else would cause something like that. It's
Because
weird.
before that, these were sticky streams. These were normal, long duration streams.
How far is Vancouver from New York?
It's really cclose to
LA,
Vancouver,
right?
Yeah, like
I was thinking Toronto.
this
Yeah.
address is let's see, it does what do I call it? North America all real time, no problem.
Oh, okay.
It does North America all real time. It's 1.5 gig fiber, and it does now it does LA and Toronto, or LA and Chicago the best, but it definitely does New York real time as well. Base. If I just look at her test streams using the good old inspector. Oh, whoa.
We've got some weird stuff there. I'm still looking up Chase's.
Oh, it's dead. Oh, jeez. What's going on? Okay, I gotta look into this. None of her test streams are good.
Hi everyone, I'm back. Here we're discussing.
Hello.
No.
We're trying to
Hi.
figure out what's
Perfect
going on with your
timing
node.
talking about your node.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
Yeah, I couldn't speak for a minute there.
So
Yeah, that does
I'm just
not
looking
look
at
good at all.
her test streams are all dead in the water. Just put a link there.
I'd be interested to know if you look on that orchestrator, can you see the test stream IP addresses that are coming in, like at any of those times? Like, do you have logs that go back that far? So I'm just curious again. Well, because I have, again, I don't know if it was AWS, but for whatever reason, my test streams are going to the wrong place. I wonder if there's just some kind of weird routing going on for certain setups that are causing machine or like streams to go to well, I guess it can't go to the wrong machine. You only have one machine.
Oh, hold on. Oh, her node is down. Oh, something happened here.
Oh, because the last ones are all down. Okay, well,
Oh,
that's
she's
part
getting.
of it. But
See,
still, those 8 seconds.
she's getting no
8 seconds is
frame,
an error.
non-existent PPS 0 referenced.
Are these what are you running? Is it like all updated latest version?
Yeah.
5.3.
So I'm just gonna go out here and say this, and I think Transmental had the same problem, and this was just randomly on one of my nodes. I was getting similar weird errors with unsupported formats and transcoding errors, and I had to actually uninstall and reinstall my driver for some random reason. It was not a patch update; it just stopped working, and Transmental posted similar thing in the orchestrator chat. I posted it as well. Like it was an early Saturday morning. My node just went offline, stream 0. I look at it, and it's these weird errors like that. I go in, I restart the node. It won't even start. It says that it doesn't support NVIDIA. So then I go in, I uninstall the driver, I reinstall it, patch it, and restart it. Everything's good. So Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, this thing has just been ticket expired. Oh yeah, this
Even
thing has
before it
been
went
getting
offline. I mean,
this thing has been getting hit hard. Whoa.
the transcode times of 7 seconds are like it's almost like it's transcoding on the CPU.
It's just
Check that
getting
NVIDIA flag.
no, it's no.
But if the NVIDIA flag was still set, then it would you get the error that that it can't transcode on that if it was a
Yeah, it's
driver
true.
issue.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Deprecated pixel format used. Make sure you use range correctly.
Post that error in the chat somewhere.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Dude, the amount of errors coming out of this node. What the heck?
Restart that thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Let me copy all these errors over first. See if I can. I don't know how long it's been doing this. We're on a big flight, so we haven't been looking.
It might have been. It might have been since we swapped over to a different machine. I'm guessing.
This is a weird error. Browse stat. This is pulling up invalid manifest. Oh, block watcher error. Bad gateway.
Currently, that's going on.
Koonsman is giving me a whole bunch of block watcher errors.
Yeah, they were posting ARB errors with one of his nodes. He had an outage this week, and one of his nodes went down, and I think he moved over to a different place or something. I don't know if he's resolved it, but there was an outage there.
I wonder if this is an RPC issue, because all
like
my nodes are using for Koonsman. Oh my goodness, is this an RPC problem?
Hey, that's a quick and easy fix. Rather that than some crazy networking or a Livepeer issue or something else.
Pop the off-chain one into a node or two and see what happens. See if that fixes anything.
Yeah. Ooh, this is good learning here.
Or Mike Zuper has a good one if you want to pay a couple of dollars a month.
Sure, I don't mind paying.
Well, again, if you just need something to get up and running, I can share it with you.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna compare Chase Media's node that runs on Fort Koonsman against my New York node. I'm gonna switch my New York node to
You could use ARB1, right? For now, yeah. ARB1.arbitrum.io/RPC.
Can you post that one?
Yeah.
I can't believe Mike remembers all these off the top of his head. But
New York. Because if it's been an RPC error, that is crazy. Because that would be really nice if I could fix this problem. Because the problem is I'm trying to also test out the router, which is really not helpful either. Because let's see.
Yeah, that could also be good. Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm trying to try to do this router thing, and then there we go. Okay, we'll try this. And get back to you soon with
Fun times as a node operator, man.
Yeah, right? Just like
the untold story. Let's get the reality show.
Okay, well, I'll update that to the Arbitrum version and see if that fixes it. Anyway, we've been at this for a while. We're now coming on 20 minutes, 30 minutes past the hour. Yeah, any other topics we want to cover other than failing nodes and screwed up test streams and traffic? I think we covered a lot. I thank you so much. Oh, also, like I said, next week, Thursday, doing a live trivia giveaway, giving away 100 Matic. I would love to get some moderators in there to help me pick out the winners, because the usually when I do giveaway, I've done trivias in the past, and it's hard to scroll back up through and get people who won. So if I could get some moderators to help, that'd be great. Yeah, I'm gonna try and post it, do something pretty public. Gonna see if I can get some interest in this this idea of Pablo's. So yeah, if you want to come join and help out,
What
really
time?
appreciate
What time are you doing it again?
it.
I know it's Thursday, but what time?
I'm thinking like this time, probably 3 p.m. Eastern start. I think that's a pretty good time to do it.
Can you post a notice in the like chat during like the day of?
Yeah, I'm gonna post. I'm actually gonna make a Livepeer
somewhere.
event of it, so it'll be in the event thing.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So
cool.
it'll be up there. Just look for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And just to throw this out here, I'd definitely be interested to moderate. But if anyone's interested in keeping up to date with what's going on with the banks and everything else, there's this really incredible Twitter space going on. It's been like going for 3-4 days straight. And it's a really, really great place to stay updated if anyone's interested. Things like keep unraveling really, really quickly. So probably good to stay informed.
yeah. Well, it's a big deal because what do they have? 180 billion in under deposits, which is like 10 times the size of FTX.
Yeah, I mean,
like
I just saw that.
FTX almost wiped out our industry, and something 10 times larger is happening, and it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, there's information coming out now that like the closure of Signature Bank was planned to push back against crypto pretty hard. So they were like using Signature as an example.
Yeah. I feel like there's going to be a lot of conspiracies.
Oh no, this was per Bloomberg. This was not a conspiracy. This is like insider information.
Ooh. Yes. Send links.
Well,
Send
I
links,
see here
please.
that Ben asked Dob, and Dob replied that Livepeer Inc. does bank with the affected banks, but has access to its USD, its BYO bank on chain, and assets remain fully accessible throughout. Definitely a crazy weekend, unlike anything I've seen since 08. I guess I don't have to read it to you guys, but it's in the general chat that Ben posted.
Oh, is it?
Dob replied to.
Cool. I was gonna wonder if anyone asked the question.
Yeah, I mean, I think if
that's what we
the
got. That's what we got authority now for.
FDIC, if the Fed didn't protect depositors, today would have been a very different day for Livepeer.
Yeah, but isn't that just 250K USD? Like
No, they are
No, they're
protecting
covering it
depositors
they're
all.
gonna protect
fully
everything. Oh, jeez.
from the two
Well,
banks.
that just means taxpayers are gonna eat
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, I
It means
mean,
we
we're
will
gonna
be
get
protecting
screwed
them. Yeah.
long term.
Oh
But
my
Livepeer might not
According to
have been here
Biden,
today.
nothing's coming out of our taxes for it.
Yeah, which is kind of
Goals.
ridiculous because everything comes
Yeah.
out of our taxes.
That's right. Where else are they getting money from? That's the only. Or are they printing it? One or the other.
Yeah,
But
they
either
print
way,
money. Exactly.
they'll print it, but then our value goes down. But the net result is the same, right? We take it on the chin.
Yeah,
Jeez.
we'll pay for this. One
I
way
have
or
a feeling
another.
it would have been a lot worse had they not, though.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Look what happened to the economy when they didn't bail out the first bank that had to run in 2008. They bailed out the rest after the first, but the first caused
Lehman Brothers.
cascade.
Lehman Brothers.
Yeah.
Doesn't this just inflate the bubble even more? Doesn't it make it
Yeah.
worse?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
You got to take your medicine, and
Yeah.
letting a collapse would happen. But again, the reality is, how big of a collapse can we allow before like
Ugly
the
either
country
way.
falls
It's
apart?
ugly either way for sure.
I'd
Yeah, I
rather
mean,
take my medicine.
Kicking
SVB
it down
was
the
not
road, but
they were not a small bank. They weren't one of the big four or whatever, but they were pretty big.
Yeah.
They were also shady as heck and did all kinds of
I
weird
think
things.
you could argue, though, that if they had not announced their intent to sell, I think it was with bonds at a discounted rate, and B had many of the top VCs notify their investments, i.e., startup companies, to pull all their money from the bank, creating a bank run. And if had they been allowed to, had they simply gone ahead and either held on to and waited till maturity of bonds, that they wouldn't have been insolvent or had any reason to be go into receivership.
Yeah, wasn't it Peter Thiel who prompted
He was one of the big ones.
Like $41 billion in a day.
But I mean, there are dozens of other VC groups whose startups had their money in that bank, and all the VCs messaged all of their startups, and all the CEOs of the startups, the CFAs, all pulled their money out, and that was the screaming fire in the crowded theater that wasn't on fire, but somebody knocked over a lamp on the way out and set the theater on fire.
Jeez.
Yep. It's all
I have
funny.
a whopping $0 in that bank.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately,
I'm joking.
the SVB was like one of the few banks that these tech startups could go to and get good terms, or go to at all. So it's like a lot of people are blaming the depositors for being stupid, but where else are they gonna go? If they're like a crypto-focused company, nobody else wants them.
Well, bada boom, bada bing, right?
And on that note,
we'll
we
see
should
you
close
guys.
the doors.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Yeah.
Thanks, Titan.
Just think about what do you want added to the stream
to the stream
chat and stream test window or web. Jesus, I'm tired.
I think you just said it.
Stream test website.
A larger window, huh?
No. Actually, honestly, I just have to say now that you're back, that thing was such a lifesaver. Looking at the old one when it was just, I was like, oh man,
it was a
I'm trying to line
perfect
stuff
opportunity
up.
of like, I need to build something because I didn't even have glasses at that time. I think that contributed to me needing glasses.
I was going to say I probably need them now because of that. I don't have them.
Reading through just unformatted JSON, I was like, this is stupid. Why am I? What the?
I had a separate window always open with that was open to the right size, so that everything was sort of formatted based on that size of that window. I mean,
I definitely rescaled the window to try to get the lines to line up. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, that was like, I mean, and for all the people that weren't here before that, you guys don't realize how easy you have it now. Like trying to see what your scores were back then was just, I mean, it was a totally different animal. I mean, just unformatted API data. It was real fun to read through.
So I'm happy that people are getting used out of it.
I will make one comment, which is the errors. So like the segment received, you can hover over it and it'll give you a JSON response of the errors. I'm wondering if that can be more readable, or maybe.
Good point. I'm just regurgitating what comes back from the serverless API. So
more readable in what sense? Like you mean just bigger, or do you mean like
you don't want to have to hover over it? Just put the data in the grid, or have a way that it like you can click view and show it.
You know what? I don't know. I don't know what I mean by that.
Is it hard to see, or do you find it doesn't grab your attention enough? You don't look at it because.
I guess, well, I don't know. I've only been paying attention to it more recently because I'm like, why are my segments not coming back? And I see that,
At the time I made it, I didn't see a lot of useful stuff in the error, so I wasn't paying too much attention. I just thought it was kind of clever to include it.
I didn't even know you could see it. I was looking at the scores.
I was going to say, maybe just even a note that
Good
hover
point.
over it. Maybe just a note that you can hover over it. Yeah. Probably a lot.
I was like, what? You can look at the status codes. Holy crap. Oh my God. I was like, damn, dude. I was like so stupid.
Typical engineer over here building an engineer tool. I didn't really think about UX at all.
Yeah, no text. I know. I have Livepeer tools I put up for some orchestrator reports. No text.
I'll throw one thing out actually that just came to mind now that I have it pulled up, and I don't know if this is like worth even doing, but like, and this is because I know the API you're reading off uses for some reason 24-hour, not just 24-hour, but uses like the hour 24, which doesn't really exist in 24-hour time as far as I know.
It doesn't format well. That is annoying.
Shouldn't that just be like zero? Like I mean, I'm looking at my tester at 2414. Shouldn't it be like 014 or 0014 or whatever? I don't know if that's a big deal or if anyone even cares. But
that is annoying. I agree.
So
No, I was just gonna
hold
say
that.
I didn't
I'm
even
taking
realize until
notes.
someone pointed it out. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just,
there's technically
small things. I mean,
there's technically no 24th hour.
Right.
right.
Yeah, it
That,
stops
you're
at
the one that made me
23.
think
It's
about it
actually,
again recently. Yeah.
But
if
on
there
top
were,
of
it
that,
would be the 25th hour.
yeah, but it's really confusing too because it says 03 or it says 3/13/23, but then it's the 24th hour, but it doesn't flip over the day, so you actually think that would be the last one, but it's actually
Yeah, it's a bug.
yeah. So anyway, that would be the only.
Yeah, it would have to be a correction that you make on the data coming in from Livepeer, but because I mean that's the way Livepeer presents it. Obviously, that's not something you're doing.
So here's something I found for that
Now
was
I'm
an
starting
open
the whole thing.
issue for. Well, hold on though, because this is something that if you guys remember Ben and Papa Bear, this is something that had me floored for a good month or two, and I was trying to reach Interptr to get access.
Oh, no shit.
So check this out.
Sorry.
So check this out. I switched everything in my Cloudflare to be proxied, which would allow like edge-based access to the, like the nodes would be at the Cloudflare edge. So everything was working. It looked like everything was working. And I had streams working, but in the test streams, when they would come up on your report, the row itself would be red. The entire row would be red. And I have no idea why that was happening. Remember that, Papa Bear? Like,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I didn't know
the
you ever figured out
whole
why it
row.
was. I remember you asked me
I
one time. I'm like,
didn't.
I don't know. I've
I
never seen that
rolled
before.
back. I rolled back all my proxying and I've yet to turn
Oh
it
my
on
God.
because I thought something was wrong and I couldn't figure out why, but I rolled it all back. I'm sitting there waiting to be turned on again, but I just
Oh my
haven't
gosh.
because of that.
I'll have to look at the logic there because I don't remember even what that means. Usually I think it's gray when they're not real time.
I saw there was a
red.
gray and there was a black and there was also a red. So the red was the one that I kept seeing consistently.
Yeah, good memory.
must
that boggled our
I've
mind.
never seen that before. Yeah.
We'd never seen it. The whole row was red.
Again, probably just a weird engineering thing that I put it in to mean something, but with no user interface, no user experience. Yeah, no
red
indication.
Means bad. I know that.
What
All
it
I
is.
know is it wasn't right, so I knew I had to roll back. But red bad, green good, red bad.
My apologies.
Oh, it's no fault.
Now I'm sorry.
What does red row mean? I don't even know the answer.
But the reality was I didn't have a Broadcastr at that time because I could send Broadcastr streams through now to validate my infrastructure. But at that time, I was like relying on it. I was like, all right, I made this change. 24 hours later, it'll be another test coming in. Let me see. Oh, it's red. Damn it, roll back. I don't know.
Oh, wait. Let's see, what color is this? I opened up the project and it literally opened it up to the styling for that, and I'm looking at this and I think the FF0000 got to be some kind of red, right? Yep, that's red. It's when transcode time is 0.
Wow. That's weird. So it wasn't
apparently at the
working.
time I must have thought that was something significant. What I think that means is that using your the proxying, and I think I had seen this before. I think my earbuds just died. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, it was just one ear.
You got me on the edge of my seat now, man. You better not send off an earbud dying.
Yeah, it's that I think that because the transcode time comes. Oh, did I lose the other ear?
Nope, I can hear you.
Okay, because transcode time comes from your machine. I think that there's some reason that the stream tester doesn't get that value back when you're proxied.
Interesting, but does that mean it's broken, or
no? It just means that the stream it just means that the test stream doesn't know how long your machine took to perform the transcoding.
I see. All right, now I can
technically I think that it doesn't need that in order to calculate the round trip time because it knows the time it was sent and the time it was received. I don't think it uses the transcode time in the calculation. That's a nice to have so that you can see how much of
total
the time was on your machine.
If you're using
So
a
yeah,
split setup, split orchestrator transcoder, then the
it
transcode
might.
time does include some of the I think it's the upload time back to the orchestrator gets included in that. So I
Oh,
don't know how that affects anything,
yeah,
but
yeah, that would make sense too.
Yeah, in my setup though, it would have been a proxy to an OT, like a local OT. So it wouldn't have had a remote T in there at that time. So
Either
I
way,
don't think
it just doesn't the test.
And I think for Koonsman and I, as part of some of the work we're doing with Video Miner Pool and with conversations with Titan around the performance and reliability board, we feel like that integration is one of those key components to making that seamless and also keep with the Web3 ethos, but allow it to incentivize the node operators to share that information because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
no one has to share that data, right? In fact,
Right, right.
the fact that you're not
Well,
getting blocked from testing their nodes
that's
in
a
the first place.
two-sided. I feel like that's a two-sided kind of issue there with respect to the decentralization argument, because yeah, people don't necessarily have to share it, but then you also have the aspect of if it's not centralized, how can we trust any individual orchestrator to correctly publish their results?
That's true. That's true. That is a good point. I mean, again, though, I think that, you could start to get the patterns and behaviors of normal actors and filter out the rest, right? But I think the fact is that having the metric data collected and being able to query it and access it,
Yeah.
to me, is the part where now that that's in place, you could put the Broadcastr selection in place to use that data as well, not just test streams, right? Like you could do a whole variety of things with that data that you probably couldn't do otherwise. Like, and again, one of the things we
True.
talked about was
That I guess
capability
is
publishing, right? Like what GPU do you have? And like Xenon was saying is we want to send our streams to the same GPU to keep the same quality, right? And with those kinds of capability metrics, you can drive that selection criteria.
true. If there's definitely a lot of information that if it was published from DOs, that would be interesting to incorporate in this kind of dashboard. At this point, I'm probably just going to be using the
Local DB.
headless, the serverless leaderboard API, which I'm using the same thing that Papa Bear noted before. It's just it's a JSON API with
who
a
hosts that?
very. I think it was. If I look at Discord, I'll see their names and remember. It was some of the early Livepeer guys.
But
I
who
want to
keeps
say
it
Marco.
running? Oh,
I want
Marco.
to say Marco.
That's not Livepeer. I would have thought it was
Oh,
Livepeer
wow.
No,
that was posting it.
no, it's Let me check GitHub.
Marco wasn't around.
Yeah, I
Then.
think
I mean,
Marco's a
that was pre.
maintainer
That
at
was pre.
least.
Oh, maybe a maintainer, but Marco. That was pre-Marco when this stuff was going on.
Well, Marco's
Possibly.
NVIDIA miner pool. We can connect with him and find out. I didn't realize he
No,
was
but I
managing
know
it.
Marco didn't come
I got
on
in
or
touch with
tell.
somebody about it. So somewhere in Discord, there's a history of me asking who owns headless or serverless API, if that's the name.
Wow. Okay.
Leaderboard serverless. It's in the Livepeer repo actually. Now that I look at it, but I know Yondon was the last one to commit to it about 6 months ago. So unsurprisingly, it's a lot of Yondon.
Yeah, they're probably using that internally. I think that's something that Livepeer uses, right?
Yeah, it might be also the API that the test streams publish the results to.
Oh, makes sense.
Because it has an authenticated post endpoint. So I believe that it's where the servers that are sending out the test streams and getting those measurements, they post the results. You know, the servers from each region, post to this single API. And then this API gets queried to populate the scores in the leaderboard on the Livepeer Explorer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Boy, a picture would go a long way with that one.
Well, it's a limited amount of information, but there's actually a lot there. The only thing that I've ran into is that I don't want to swamp them. You know, already, well, we really only have like a dozen really active users. I don't know if it's you, Titan, that is the super user, but one person uses it about 10 times as much as the rest of you.
What's this? Oh,
but
that would be Ben. No, I'm just kidding.
wait.
I'm
Can you
just kidding.
see what?
I use it a lot. I have 4 different windows open, so
yeah, I
of
can
it
see
at all
IPs
times because I keep
Oh, you can see IPs.
one of them, and then
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Let's see. Let me log in real quick.
I use lots of different IPs. So
let's hope it's not me, please.
I'm really curious here now that I get you guys on the line.
I've got 4 windows.
I mean, I
open all the
moved
time of it.
recently, so it probably isn't me.
Where is? It's weird. Sorry.
Let's hear who wins this award.
Yeah,
This
who
sounds
wins
like
this award?
an NFT for next year. This is an NFT for next year.
I bet it's Marco or Livepeer.
yeah, well,
Livepeer would make sense.
But this is querying
sorry.
the Vercel app, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you'd only
The
use
inner
that.
pointer.
Yeah, so that's like
Interptr.
Oh, right.
Where? Sorry, I've obviously got too
this
many
is
tabs open.
This is how little of a life I have. I'm dying to hear this news.
I want to know. I think I probably won because I've been using it a lot in the last like couple months.
I got the impression from the way he was saying it, this has like been an ongoing like person that uses it a lot.
Well, that's weird because the last month it wouldn't have been an IP address because I've been in New Zealand, so I have a totally different IP address down there.
I mean, I use it every single day, but I also moved, so the IP address.
I use it every day, but I check a few different people every day.
I'm really curious.
I mean, I check mine. I check our pools. I usually check in on Ben. Yeah, I mean, I use it several times. You know, yeah, I use it a lot. I think I would be surprised if it wasn't me. And I use it a lot less now than I used to.
Doesn't look like changing my RPC so far has made any difference.
No, I'm surprised. I thought that was for sure going to make it.
So
but are you
far,
still getting RPC errors? I mean, but you're not getting any RPC errors now, at least.
No, I wasn't on the main node. No.
Oh, you weren't getting them in the first place either. Even before, that was because didn't you read that there's some RPC errors?
Yeah. There was. That's why Chase Media's node shut down.
Oh, okay. That was hers. Okay.
But because I replaced, unless it raised one like in the time that I restarted it. Let's find out.
This is weird. Huh. Could have sworn I had it up, but I don't think.
Oh, what a tease! You don't even have it
Yeah,
after all that.
I really don't use the Vercel tools as much as I should, given I'm paying for them.
How much are they?
It's like $20 a month.
Yeah, interesting.
There were just some handy things. It's like, okay, that's cool, so I'll use it. But
are we gonna find out?
I don't know. I could swear that I. Is this it? Yep. There we go. Okay.
Who is the winner? Who wins?
Requests by IP address. Okay. See, I'm going to assume that.
My IP address changed in the last 2 weeks.
So
but before that, if you
let me search for it before we see it. I don't know. Anybody in a 176.144 sound familiar? .66. .6.
Not me.
No, it doesn't sound.
Nah, it's not me either.
Hold on. Let me check. How do I check?
What was it again? What was the first octet?
176.144. Okay.
Hold on. Wait.
What period? What period of time is this over?
Check. This is in the past 3 days. There have been 672 requests by not a bot. 276 of which this is since the 10th. No, not the 10th. How is that possible? Yeah, since last Friday. 276 from one IP, 102 from another, 33, 20 from another, 19, 18, 18, 17, 14, 14.
Can you, what was the number one place again?
176, 144, 66, 6.
What was it? 176, 145. I just want to see what region it is.
It's Frankfurt, or it's France.
Oh, France? Then that's Frank.
176, 144, 66, 6.
Yep.
Yeah, it's France.
That's got to be Frank.
Yeah. About 10
Ultimate
times as much
denial
as
of
everybody
service.
else.
Somebody in France cares a lot.
Yeah. Let's see, actually, let's give it a good time window. Let's go back to February 13th. Yeah. Oh, actually not that much more. He still tops, but only with the 500.
Maybe some connectivity issues. Going to check in on it more often, you know.
Yeah, much more in the beginning of the month. Towards the middle and late in the month, less. Anyways, funny stats.
There you go. Okay. All right. Let's end this now. We've been at this
All right.
for quite some time. I do
Yeah.
appreciate the
I
enthusiasm.
get back to work.
It's amazing everyone's
right.
here. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you all next week. Cheers.
All right.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.